Chapter 41:16. As the beast supremacy of the beast race, the death of the Jiao dragon caused quite a stir in the East continent. The other beast supremacies were all shocked and confused. Who had the guts to come to the East continent and cause trouble? Even the beast gods above were alarmed. In a place called Tianping Mountain, there were countless ferocious beasts here. But in the core area, not even a mosquito could be found. The ferocious beasts nearby regarded this place as a forbidden area. However, the vegetation in the mountain was extremely dense. In one of them, the dense qi had turned into clouds that lingered between the heavens and earth. In the depths of the clouds, there was a huge bird's nest. That's right. That was the bird's nest. But the difference was that this bird's nest was extremely luxurious. It was built with spirit veins and crystal veins. And around the bird's nest was inlaid with golden silk. It was made from numerous golden threads, and it was dazzling and resplendent. It seemed extremely noble and luxurious. The size of the bird's nest was comparable to several football fields. And in the center of the bird's nest, there was a huge golden bird. Its body was more than 100 feet long, and its feathers looked as if they were made of gold. It was extremely dazzling. This was one of the 20 beast gods of the beast race, Tianping. At this moment, although Tianping was lying on the bird's nest, its eyes were looking outside the nest. There were more than a dozen ferocious beasts crawling in the void. These ferocious beasts were almost all divine beasts. There were fire wands, black cheilants, ice phoenixes, black dragons, and so on. The aura they emitted was extremely terrifying. But at this moment, they were all trembling in fear when facing Tianping, as if they were treading on thin ice. Preposterous. Someone dared to break into the East continent and kill the beast supremacy under Tianping. I give you 3 days to find out their identity and origin. If you can't complete the task, then there's no value in keeping you alive. Tianping said. There was a ruthless coldness in its words. Yes. The divine beasts answered respectfully and immediately got up and rushed to the territory ruled by the Jiao dragon. A storm began in the East continent. At the same time, on the divine island, on the supreme mountain, something was also happening. The divine island. A god race expert found the divine king, bowed and said, "My lord, a clansman has reported that 3 of our clansmen have just escaped from the East continent." Escaped from the East continent? The divine king was sipping his tea. When he heard this, he couldn't help but be taken aback. Yes. It is said that these 3 collateral family members have been enslaved by a beast emperor called Barbarian King in the East continent for many years. They have suffered a lot. There are also 9 humans who were enslaved by Barbarian King. The expert from the God clan said. Sigh. It's not like you don't know what the beast race and the sea race are like. They are hostile to the God race, the human race, and even the purple gold divine dragon race. Enslaving our clansmen is nothing new. I'm afraid that many of our people are still suffering in the Eastern continent. It's just that we don't know about it. The divine king sighed. As the ruler of the god race, she should have been very angry when she heard this. But now, her heart was filled with helplessness. This was also a kind of sorrow. If the enslaved clansmen could send her a distress signal, she could send people to rescue them. But usually, the sacred voice stone of those enslaved by the beast race would be shattered immediately, so they couldn't send a distress signal. The Eastern continent was the territory of the beast race and the sea race. They couldn't just go there for a stroll. Even if they wanted to, Neptune, the dragon god, wouldn't allow it. Moreover, with the strength of Neptune and the dragon god, even the monarch, the divine king, and the paragon of the human race had to be wary of them. It was no exaggeration to say that. If there wasn't anything important, the monarch and the other 2 giants couldn't casually step into the Eastern continent. The expert from the God clan couldn't help but sigh. Then he said, although we are used to this kind of thing, the situation this time is really strange. Strange? The Divine King was bewildered. How was this strange? The expert from the God clan swallowed and said with difficulty, they were able to escape the eastern continent this time because of Qin Feiyang and his group. What? Because of Qin Feiyang and his group? The Divine King was stunned. These guys really went to the eastern continent? That was too fast. They were still negotiating with her last night, and in the blink of an eye, they were already in the eastern continent. Yes. It said that Qin Feiyang saved them, and he personally opened the portal and sent them back to the eastern continent. The expert from the God clan nodded. Is the news true? The Divine King frowned. It's absolutely true. The expert from the God clan said. The Divine King's face was calm, but there was a hint of a smile in his eyes. He knew that it was the God clan who saved her. It seemed that Qin Feiyang was indeed sincere about the cooperation. However, the expert from the God clan didn't think so. Instead, a cold light flashed in his eyes as he looked at the Divine King. Now that they have appeared in the eastern continent, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us. The Divine King was stunned. He asked, what opportunity? When they enter the eastern continent, they will definitely turn the eastern continent upside down. The Beast Clan and the Sea Clan in the eastern continent have always ignored the Divine Kingdom. This time, Qin Feiyang and his group took the initiative to attack the eastern continent, which is undoubtedly a fuse. When the Sea Clan and the Beast Clan are enraged, we can join forces with the Sea Clan and the Beast Clan to kill this group of people. The expert from the God clan spoke with undisguised murderous intent in his eyes. The Divine King's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that what Qin Feiyang and his group had done to the God clan during this period of time had angered the people of the God clan. That put her in a difficult position. Now, with the help of Qin Feiyang, she had unlocked all the doors of potential and was considering cooperating with Qin Feiyang. But at this moment, judging from the attitude of the expert in front of her toward Qin Feiyang and his group, it seemed that even if she agreed to cooperate, it wouldn't go so smoothly. Lord. Seeing that the Divine King was silent, the expert from the God clan looked at her in confusion. The Divine King came back to his senses and shook his head. Although Qin Feiyang and his group have hurt the God clan, the Sea Clan and the Beast Clan have also hurt the God clan. The expert from the God clan was stunned. What did he mean? This is not a trivial matter. When the 10 sovereigns come out of seclusion, I will discuss with them and then make a decision. You can leave now. Also, keep an eye on the situation in the eastern continent. The Divine King waved his hand. Yes. The expert from the God clan answered respectfully and didn't dare to say anything more. He turned around and left the hall. The Beast Clan, the Sea Clan, Qin Feiyang, the Divine King murmured, feeling quite annoyed. Buzz. Suddenly, the voice of the divine voice-transmitting stone sounded. The Divine King froze and took out the divine voice-transmitting stone. The ruler's figure quickly appeared and looked at the godly king. Without wasting any time, he said seriously, "Come to Mount Supreme immediately. I have something important to discuss with you. I'll be right there." The Divine King nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Because it was rare to see the king so serious. Mount Supreme. In a simple hall. The king and the human clan supremacy sat opposite each other. The king lowered his head and his face was pale. At the same time, there seemed to be a trace of anger. Opposite. The human clan supremacy looked at the king with a puzzled face. Swoosh. Soon. The Divine King appeared in front of the hall. Seeing that there was no one around, he walked into the hall with a trace of suspicion in his eyes. He looked at the human clan supremacy and said with a smile, "Isn't there usually someone guarding outside?" How come I don't see anyone now? The human clan supremacy said, the king asked me to send them away. Send them away. The divine king was slightly stunned. He walked to the side of the tea table. When he saw the king's expression, his heart trembled. Did something big really happen? The king waved his hand, and the door of the hall closed and set up a soundproof barrier. Seeing this scene, the human clan supremacy and the divine king were even more puzzled. Isn't he being too careful? Let me show you a video. The king took out the divine voice transmitting stone. An image immediately appeared in the void next to him. The people shown in the image were Li Feng, Boss Ji, and the others. The divine king and Boss Ji looked at each other and looked up at the image suspiciously. What did you say? Before the ruler left, he asked the sea race and the beast race to monitor the movements of the three races. Boss Ji looked at Li Feng in surprise. That's right. This is what Qin Dage learned from reading the memories of the dragon sovereign using the puppet technique. Li Feng nodded. Preposterous. Does the ruler not trust us that much? Boss Ji and the others were furious. Also, Qin Dage is worried that there are spies of the sea race and the beast race lurking around the king, the divine king, and the human clan supremacy, so he asked me to tell you to be careful in the future. Li Feng said again. Bastard. Boss Ji clenched his hands. The purple gold divine dragon clan had been working hard for the divine kingdom for generations, but what they got in return was the ruler's distrust and surveillance. Also, we recorded a video in the East Continent. Li Feng took out the divine voice transmitting stone and showed the video of the barbarian king abusing the 12 slaves. Inside the hall. The divine king and the human clan supremacy's eyes were full of anger after watching this video. No wonder the king was so careful. It turned out that he was worried that there were spies of the sea race and the beast race around them. The barbarian king enslaved 3 collateral members of the god race. I've heard about this. But what I didn't expect was that the barbarian king abused them like this. He doesn't take the god race seriously at all. The divine king's face was gloomy. There was a saying that one had to look at the master before beating a dog. What did the beast race think of him, the divine king, by doing this? Sigh. The human clan supremacy also sighed deeply. He looked at the two and said, the 9 members of the human clan have returned and have already sent someone to report this to me. To be honest, I'm really angry. It's not just the human clan and the god race. Even some of the purple gold divine dragons were enslaved by the beast race and the sea race. I really don't understand. Why can the beast race and the sea race freely enter the south, north, and west continents, but the creatures of the 3 continents have to be abused like this when they enter the east continent? The king's eyes were also full of anger. Isn't it simple? Isn't it because the ruler is supporting the sea race and the beast race? The divine king snorted. This is unfair to us. What's more hateful is that the ruler sent them to spy on us. He might even have planted spies around us. Tell me, can the 3 major races just sit around and wait for death? The divine king looked gloomily at the divine king and the human clan supremacy. Chapter 41:17. No. The divine king clenched his fists. She could tolerate enslaving the collateral members of the god race. But spying on her, even planting spies around her, was something she absolutely could not tolerate. Then what do you want to do? Betray the divine kingdom? The human race supremacy looked at the two and frowned. The monarch looked at the human race supremacy and smiled. Supremacy, don't you think of anything when you see Li Feng with Grandpa and the others? The human race supremacy was stunned. Suddenly, his body shook. He stood up and stared at the monarch in shock. That's right. The purple gold divine dragon clan has chosen to cooperate with Qin Feiyang. The divine king shook his head and smiled. You already know. The human race supremacy was surprised. Yes. Last night, Qin Feiyang went to the Divine Island to look for me and talk to me about cooperation. He also made it clear that the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan has joined forces with him. At first, I couldn't believe it. But after Qin Feiyang left, I sent a message to the monarch to ask about this. He has already admitted it. The Divine King nodded. The human race supremacy looked at the monarch in a daze, then looked at the Divine King and asked, "So, you have also chosen?" I was still hesitating at first, but now, the ruler's actions have really disappointed me. It's not that I want to rebel, it's that he forced the god race to rebel. The Divine King clenched his fists. The human race supremacy fell silent. Supremacy, now that things have come to this, what are you still thinking about? Stand out. Qin Feiyang needs you, and so do we. The billions of creatures in the West Continent, North Continent, and South Continent also need you. The monarch invited. But, the human race supremacy hesitated and frowned. Let's not talk about the spies first. Let's just say that the ruler asked the sea race and the beast race to monitor us. It's just Qin Feiyang's side of the story. But Qin Feiyang has already read the Flood Dragon's memories. How can this be false? The king frowned. He did read the Flood Dragon's memory, but he's the only one who knows what he found in the Flood Dragon's memory. The human clan supreme master said. What do you mean? Are you suspecting that Qin Feiyang is trying to sow discord between us and the sovereign? The king raised his eyebrows. I, the supreme master of the human race, swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Let me tell you, if you really think that way, then you are insulting Qin Feiyang's character. The king was a little angry. You trust him that much? The human supreme being was astonished. Yes. I trust him. Because he is a descendant of my Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan. While the Purple Gold Divine Dragon race isn't completely selfless, we still know our limits when it comes to major issues. Furthermore, you should know about the elders of my Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan, right? Qin Feiyang and the others have already gained their recognition. To tell you the truth, the ones who decided to join forces with Qin Feiyang and the others were these elders as well. I was just following orders. The king said. When the human clan supreme master heard this, his heart was suddenly in turmoil. This group of little guys had actually gained the recognition of those elders. It was really unbelievable. After calming down with great difficulty, he looked at the Divine King and asked, "What about you? Qin Feiyang has caused so much damage to the god race, even killing Jiang Yunchuang and the others, and destroying the bodies of you and the 10 sovereigns. Can you really disregard the past and cooperate with them? Disregard the past? Of course not. I'm not such a magnanimous person. However, this kid has given me an irresistible temptation." The Divine King smiled bitterly. What temptation? The king also looked at her curiously. Don't you know? He has a pill that can unlock the door of potential. The Divine King looked at the king suspiciously. What? A pill that can unlock the door of potential? The king was surprised. The human clan supreme master was also dumbfounded. You really don't know? The Divine King looked at the king in astonishment. She thought that with the relationship between Qin Feiyang and the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan, he would have already told the king. It was even possible that the king had already unlocked the door of potential. Therefore, when she sent a message to the king to ask if he had really joined forces with Qin Feiyang, she did not mention this matter. I don't know. The king frowned and scolded angrily, these heartless guys. How could they not tell us such an important thing? This matter was really wronged. When he was in the village, Qin Feiyang did not think of this at all. Are you sure? The human clan supreme master took a deep breath and looked at the Divine King. This was simply shocking news. Of course I'm sure. I have already unlocked all the doors of potential with their help. The Divine King smiled proudly. What? The king and the human clan's supreme master were shocked. He had already unlocked the doors of potential. And all the doors of potential? Let me see. When he came back to his senses, the human clan's supreme master looked at the Divine King expectantly. What the hell? Let you see. The Divine King's face suddenly darkened. The potential mark was born in the chest. How could a man like you see it? Are you trying to take advantage of me? Cough, cough. The human clan's supreme master also came back to his senses. His face was full of embarrassment. The king also looked at the human clan's supreme master with disdain. He was already so old, but he still said such inappropriate words. Pretend I didn't say anything. The human clan's supreme master's face turned red. He was really old and muddle-headed to make such a low-level mistake. The matter of the potential imprint, this is absolutely true. I have no reason to lie to you about this. Although the death of Jiang Yunshuang and the other two is indeed a pity, if we can get these elixirs, it will be a matter of minutes to create a few geniuses. So, with such an offer, how can I not be tempted? The Divine King shook his head and smiled. That's true. The human clan's supreme master nodded. The more the king listened, the angrier he became. These little bastards, don't they know how to keep the goodies within the family? If there was such a good thing, shouldn't they think of the purple gold divine dragon clan first? They let the Divine King take advantage of this first. He felt extremely unbalanced. However, no matter what, I can't make a decision on this matter immediately. How about this? Let Qin Feiyang investigate. If there is conclusive evidence that the Sea clan and the Beast clan have indeed planted spies around us, then I will cooperate with him. The human clan's supreme master looked at the two of them and said. You really are a stubborn old man. The king glared at him. I have no choice. If I'm alone, it doesn't matter what I do. But now, my decision will determine the fate of the entire human race in the Divine Kingdom. I have to be careful. The human clan's supreme master sighed. Alright, I understand. If it weren't for those old men's decision, I would still be hesitating like you. The king shook his head. However, we have to be careful about this matter. From now on, when we do things, especially when dealing with Qin Feiyang and the others, we must be careful. If there is really a spy, then we will be in big trouble. The human clan's supreme master said worriedly. I think so too. The king nodded. What about Dong Zhenyang? He is now with the old men. If the Sea clan and the Beast clan discover him, it will be very disadvantageous for us. The Divine King was worried. There is no need to worry about the situation in the village. With the old men's strength, the Sea clan and the Beast clan won't be able to get close to the village. Moreover, Dong Zhenyang, whether in the Sky Cloud realm or our Divine Kingdom, has always been unknown. There are not many people who know him. Even if the Sea clan and the Beast clan see him, they won't know that he is Qin Feiyang's man. The king smiled slightly. Even so, it is better to be careful. The Divine King said. I will. After Li Feng went to the village and explained these things, Dong Zhenyang has been hidden by the old men. The king said. The Divine King continued, in addition, to prevent the Sea clan and the Beast clan from being suspicious, we should continue to pursue Qin Feiyang and the others. This is necessary. Until the last moment, our cooperation with Qin Feiyang must not be exposed. The king nodded. Hearing this, the human race's supreme being looked at the two of them helplessly and said, Aren't the two of you trying to drag me down by starting this discussion right in front of me? Haha, hearing this, the two couldn't help but laugh. That's right. That's dragging you into the water. East Continent. Black Tortoise Realm. Li Feng had returned. When he learned that he had successfully obtained the 6 ultimate mysteries of the Jiao Dragon, he was pleasantly surprised. Tea Garden. Qin Feiyang leisurely tasted the divine tea, looked at Li Feng sitting opposite him, and asked with a smile, "Did Lord Jiao beat you up when he saw you go back?" "Almost. If it weren't for the other great-grandfathers and great-grandmothers stopping him, he would have suffered a terrible torture." Li Feng smiled bitterly. "Huh," Qin Feiyang laughed. "You're still laughing. I can tell now. You want me to go because you want me to be your punching bag." Li Feng was dissatisfied. "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. "You're still pretending." "At first, I didn't care. But when I arrived at the village and saw Dong Xingyang, I realized that you could have sent a message to Dong Xingyang and told the old master and the others about this. But you made me go there personally. Aren't you tricking me?" Li Feng pursed his lips. "Ahem." Qin Feiyang coughed and quickly poured a cup of tea, handed it to Li Feng, and said with a smile, "Try it. After you drink it, you'll know that even if you get beaten up, it's worth it." The corner of Li Feng's mouth twitched. He picked up the teacup and sniffed it. The tea was indeed fragrant. However, at this moment, buzz! The divine voice stone rang. Qin Feiyang put down the teacup suspiciously, took out the divine voice stone, checked it, and was stunned. "Who is it?" Li Feng was suspicious. "Dong Xingyang." Qin Feiyang activated the divine voice stone, and Dong Xingyang's shadow appeared immediately. However, next to Dong Xingyang, there was a group of old men. It was Boss Ji and the others. Master Ji Jiao was also there. Looking at Qin Feiyang, Master Ji Jiao blew his beard and glared. If Qin Feiyang was by his side, he would definitely beat him up. "Great-grandfather, what's the matter?" Master Ji Jiao's gaze made Qin Feiyang feel a little guilty. "Of course. Get your ass back here for me. See how I'll deal with you." Master Ji Jiao's eyes were wide open like an angry lion. "Ha!" Qin Feiyang laughed dryly. Ji Laoshi said unhappily, "Old Jiao, aren't there just a few dozen tea trees? Don't be so petty in front of a junior." "I'm petty. Big brother, aren't you being a little too biased?" "What do you mean, aren't there just a few dozen tea trees? Those are my treasures, especially the Bodhi divine tree. I worked hard all these years to cultivate 6 of them, and he took 2 of them away. They're really not your treasures. Don't you feel sorry for them?" Master Ji Jiao glared at Boss Ji. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. "Ha!" Boss Ji laughed dryly, looked at Qin Feiyang, and said, "You've really gone too far this time." Qin Feiyang was helpless. "Didn't you also have a share?" Chapter 41:18. Old Ji said, "Today, us old men gathered together and took the initiative to send you a message because we want to interrogate you about something." "Interrogate me? What is it?" Qin Feiyang's eyelids twitched. It sounded a little serious. Ji Laoshi asked, "Do you have a pill that can unlock the door of potential?" "Huh?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. How did these old men know about it? Ji Laoshi snorted coldly. "Don't deny it. We have already interrogated Dong Xingyang, and he has already confessed." Dong Xingyang looked at Qin Feiyang helplessly and said, "It was the divine king who told the king, and the king passed it on to these old men." Qin Feiyang suddenly understood. It turned out that these old men were here to interrogate him. "I say, this kid, do you have any conscience? We treated you well, right? We treated you well with good wine and dishes. We even helped you steal old Jiao's tea tree. Is this how you treat us? Instead of taking care of your own family, you took care of the divine king, an outsider. You're really a heartless white-eyed wolf." The group of old men was filled with righteous indignation. Qin Feiyang's face was full of helplessness. At that time in the village, facing everyone's enthusiasm, he didn't think of this matter at all. Sorry, it's my fault, Qin Feiyang quickly apologized. It was indeed his negligence. When he opened the door of potential for the Divine King, he should have thought of these old men. Of course it's your fault. But if you know your mistakes and can change, you're still a good young man. You understand, right? Ji Laoshi bared his teeth. Yes. However, if I give you the pill, then in the future, Master Jiu, you will let bygones be bygones? Qin Feiyang smiled. Are you negotiating with us? Master Jiu's face darkened. No. I just said it casually. Please don't take it seriously. Isn't it just medicinal pills? That's what I should give you. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. What he said was touching and righteous. But Ninth Master Ji didn't buy it at all. He snorted coldly and said, don't try to curry favor with me. Give me the elixir or not. Anyway, I'll settle the account with you about the tea tree. All right. As long as it makes you happy, I will accept any punishment. Qin Feiyang nodded. The corner of Ji Jiu's mouth twitched. This little bastard's mouth must have been smeared with honey. I see. I'll get someone to refine the pills right away. I'll get Li Feng to deliver them to you personally. Qin Feiyang smiled. Not only for us, but for other clansmen as well. Ji Jiu said with a cold face. This, Qin Feiyang's expression froze. What is it? You're not happy? Ninth Master Ji asked. No. There's no need for me to tell you the importance of these pills. I'm sure you can imagine it. If, Qin Feiyang's face was full of worry. But before he could finish, Ninth Master Ji said, there's no if. We'll personally control these pills and won't let them fall into the hands of others. Even if the monarch wants them, he'll have to get our permission first. Same. We'll also tell those who have unlocked the gate of potential to keep their mouths shut. And we won't tell anyone that these pills were refined by you. Ninth Master Ji added. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly and shook his head. Since you've already thought it through, I'll give you 100 sets of pills first. Sure. If you need any herbs, just tell me. With the foundation of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan, I can easily give you a lot of them. Ninth Master Ji chuckled. The other old men were also beaming with joy. Even Master Ji Jiu had a hint of joy in his eyes. All right. I'll arrange it right away. Qin Feiyang turned off the voice transmission stone. Asking me to go again. Ninth Master Ji might beat me up again. Li Feng muttered. Don't be afraid. Young man, be brave. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, patted Li Feng's shoulder, and secretly told Dan Wangkai to refine the pills. Soon. 100 sets of pills came out. Li Feng took the pills and headed to the village with a look of facing death. Qin Feiyang also called Long Qin to leave the Black Tortoise realm and wait for Li Feng's return. After a while, Li Feng returned. But his brows were tightly knitted together. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang looked at him suspiciously. Ninth Master didn't want to beat me this time, but I heard from these old men that Ryuko and Ji Shaoi are also on the list of those who have unlocked the gate of potential. Li Feng said. Ryuko, Ji Shaoi. Long Qin was stunned, looked at Qin Feiyang and said, aren't they our opponents? Qin Feiyang scratched his head and said, they shouldn't be considered opponents now. After all, they had already joined forces with the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan. Moreover, Ryuko and Ji Shaoi were both direct descendants of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon Clan. And if one were to think about it carefully, they were cousins of the ancestor. Because Qin Feiyang was the son of the princess of the Divine Kingdom, and Ryuko was the son of Heavenly Lord Ji. The princess of the Divine Kingdom and Heavenly Lord Ji were biological siblings, so according to their relationship and seniority, Qin Batian and Ryuko were cousins. And Ji Shaoi was Ji Yunhai's biological grandson. Ji Yunhai and the monarch were biological brothers, and Qin Batian and Ji Shaoi were also cousins. Although you think so, they may not think so. Moreover, only those old men and the monarch know about the cooperation with the purple gold divine dragon. Young people like Ryuko and Ji Shaoi will definitely be kept in the dark. At that time, they may even come to target us. Li Feng frowned. If they really come to target us, then I will have a whole new level of respect for them. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. With their current strength, without full courage, who would dare to target them? So, if Ryuko and Ji Shaoi really came to deal with them, they would be praised for their courage. Then what's next? Long Qin asked. Next, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and said with a smile, of course, we're going to meet the ruler of this area, Tianpeng. Tianpeng. Long Qin and Li Feng were stunned. This Tianpeng is one of the 20 beast gods of the beast clan. Right now, we happen to be in the area under its jurisdiction. I guess at this moment, it is also asking the beast sovereigns below to investigate our origins. Qin Feiyang smiled. I see. Li Feng suddenly smiled and said with a grin, then he must be very strong. You should want to say that it has mastered a lot of ultimate profound meanings. Long Qin looked at him with disdain. Huh, Li Feng laughed and suddenly looked at Long Qin, saying, big sister, that. Long Zun. No, that Jiao dragon is stronger than all the geniuses. Now that we have killed it, shouldn't it be counted as a spot? Stop. Long Qin rolled her eyes and snorted, I have already made an exception. Don't push your luck. It has to be killing the young geniuses of the Divine Kingdom. All right. Li Feng was helpless. This beast clan should also have many young geniuses. With his current strength, he believed that he could successfully kill it without the help of Qin Feiyang and the others. 2 days passed. Tianpeng Mountain. The dozen or so beast sovereigns who were ordered to investigate the origins of Qin Feiyang and the others returned to Tianpeng Mountain in a hurry. Why are you in such a panic? Tianpeng raised its head and looked at the group of beast sovereigns. My lord. We have investigated clearly. According to the ferocious beasts under the command of the dragon sovereign, the culprit seems to be, speaking of this. The group of beast sovereigns swallowed their saliva, their eyes full of fear. Who? Tianpeng asked. It was quite surprised. Who on earth could make these usually lawless revered beasts so frightened? You should see for yourself. A black dragon waved its dragon claws, and 3 figures quickly appeared. Tianpeng looked over. At first, there was some doubt in its eyes. But soon, its expression changed and it immediately stood up, staring at the 3 figures. The scene fell into a dead silence in an instant. Are you sure it's them? After a long time, Tianpeng came back to its senses and looked at the group of beast sovereigns. Yes. And I heard that they seem to have come to the East Continent to take refuge. The black dragon beast sovereign nodded. Take refuge? Tianpeng was stunned. Didn't they cause havoc on Mount Supreme and the mythical island a while ago? It said that Mu Qing, who has the all-seeing eye, awakened a mid-level dominator divine weapon at Mount Supreme and killed the human prodigies, making a name for himself. As for the mythical island, it was destroyed by them twice. The prodigies of the god race, Jiang Yunshuang, Jiang Xing, and Jiang Zishan were all killed by them. Especially when they came to the mythical island for the first time, they killed more than half of the direct descendants of the god race. And the purple gold divine dragon clan. There's news that Ji Shaoi's Eye of Destiny has also been snatched by Qin Feiyang and the others. Although it hasn't been confirmed yet, it's probably true. The three major races won't let such a blood feud go. So, they must have come to the East Continent to hide from the God race, the human race, and the purple-gold divine dragon clan. The dozen or so beast sovereigns spoke one after another. That rumor was actually deliberately released by the monarch. Because of this, it made more sense for the purple-gold divine dragon clan to hunt down Qin Feiyang and the others. Hide, Tianping murmured and asked, what is the stance of the monarch, the divine king, and the human sovereign now? We don't know yet. If my lord allows, we can go to the West Continent, South Continent, and North Continent to investigate. The dozen beast sovereigns said respectfully. No need. Tianping shook his head. Then what should we do now? Qin Feiyang and the others aren't simple people. Especially Qin Feiyang. It's said that he has mastered the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death. Even the monarch lost to him in the sky cloud realm. If it wasn't for the Lord, he would have died in the sky cloud realm. The dozen beast sovereigns were worried. Even if he has mastered the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death, he can't do as he pleases in the East Continent. Tianping snorted coldly. This must be a misunderstanding. I've never thought of doing as I please in Lord Tianping's territory. However, as soon as they finished speaking, three figures appeared in the sky with lightning speed, accompanied by faint laughter. Qin Feiyang. Li Feng. Long Qin. The dozen beast sovereigns immediately raised their heads and stared at the three. Their eyes flashed fiercely, but at the same time, there was a trace of fear that couldn't be dispelled. Chapter 41:19. So it's them. Sky Ping sized up Qin Feiyang and the other two with a cold glint in its eyes. Not only did they kill the beast venerables under its command, but they also dared to barge into its lair, Sky Ping Mountain. At the same time, Qin Feiyang and the other two were also sizing up Sky Ping and the beast venerables under its command. The aura they exuded was extraordinary. How extravagant. Li Feng looked at the nest, his eyes full of shock. Indeed. Long Qin nodded. It was the first time he had seen a nest made of spirit veins and crystal veins. Furthermore, there were many rare and exotic fruits in the bird's nest. These rare fruits were rooted in the spirit veins and crystal veins. They were full of vitality and were overflowing with light. Boom! When they came back to their senses, the beast venerables suddenly burst out with a terrifying aura and stared at Qin Feiyang as if they were facing a great enemy. Do you want to fight? Li Feng snickered. Fighting was exactly what he had been looking for. Even if each of the beast venerables had only mastered 3 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, there were still 30 to 40 of them. 30 to 40 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws were enough for them to create several elites with the will of heaven. Calm down. Sky Ping shouted coldly and looked at Qin Feiyang with a frown. Your Excellency, why did the 3 of you come to the East Continent and kill the beast venerables and beast emperors of the beast clan? We didn't want to kill them. They were the ones who asked for it. In fact, I don't understand either. Isn't it good for them to live in this world? Why did they have to come here to die? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Do you still need to think? Of course it's because they are stupid. Long Qin sneered. Sky Ping was furious when he heard this. You came to the East Continent to cause trouble and blamed the Beast Clan for being stupid. How can you do that? Qin Feiyang looked at Long Qin and said unhappily, Little Qin, don't be rude. Lord Sky Ping is our senior. We have to respect him. Long Qin's face darkened as he stared at Qin Feiyang. Little Qin, you call me that so easily. Sky Ping's face also darkened. Respect? He really didn't see any respect for it. Qin Feiyang sighed. Senior, actually, we're here to seek protection. Protection? Sky Ping frowned. The dozen or so venerable beasts looked at each other. Were they really here to seek refuge? Since they came to the East Continent to seek refuge, how could they be so arrogant? Qin Feiyang looked at Tian Ping and the other beast sovereigns and sighed. I believe all of you have heard about our situation in the South, North, and West continents. We came to the East Continent because we had nowhere else to go. Really? I heard that even the monarch is no match for you. Are you still afraid of them? Tian Ping sneered. I did have a battle with the monarch and won by a fluke. However, we are not facing the monarch alone. We are facing the human race, the celestial race, and the purple gold divine dragon race. It's not the first time the three great races have joined forces to encircle and annihilate us. If it weren't for the blessings of the heavens, we would have died in their hands long ago. Qin Feiyang sighed. Tian Ping looked at Qin Feiyang's expression. His eyes flickered, as if he was not faking it. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I heard that the beast race and the sea tribe have always been at odds with the three great races. Therefore, I hope to gain the support of the beast race and the sea tribe. Qin Feiyang smiled. You are quite knowledgeable. Tian Ping sneered. It's not hard to find out. After all, your relationship with the three great races is no secret. Qin Feiyang smiled. But we, the beast race and the sea tribe, are members of the divine kingdom. Do you think that we will join forces with an outsider like you to fight the three great races? Tian Ping looked at Qin Feiyang with sarcasm. I know. My identity as an outsider is a little sensitive. But I don't think it will affect our cooperation. Think about it. When the three great races are destroyed, who will benefit the most? Naturally, it will be the beast race and the sea tribe. At that time, you will be the overlord of the divine kingdom. No one will be able to shake your position. Those who obey me will prosper. Those who oppose me will die. You can do whatever you want. Qin Feiyang smiled. It is indeed quite tempting. Tian Ping sneered. As for me, to be honest, I have no hatred for the beast race and the sea tribe. Because the ones who invaded the sky cloud realm were the human race, the god race, and the purple gold divine dragon race. The beast race and the sea tribe never participated. As the saying goes, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. Therefore, my target is only the three great races. As long as I destroy the three great races and avenge the souls of the sky cloud realm, I will immediately take my people and leave the divine kingdom. I will not disturb you anymore. Qin Feiyang smiled. Your ambition is not small. You actually want to wipe out the three great races in one fell swoop. Tian Ping frowned. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with killing intent. He said resentfully, if it was you, senior, you would also hate the three great races as much as I do when you see the sky cloud realm falling apart and the innocent lives that died in their hands. I have also heard about this. I express my sympathy. However, if you want the beast race and the sea tribe to cooperate with you to deal with the three great races, this will never happen. Tian Ping snorted coldly. Why? Qin Feiyang frowned. Putting aside personal grudges, we and the three great races are all members of the divine kingdom. If we cooperate with you, wouldn't it be the same as betraying the divine kingdom? Do you think the Lord Ruler will let us go when the time comes? I also advise you to quickly leave the divine kingdom. Otherwise, you will face destruction sooner or later. Tian Ping sneered coldly. Persuade us to leave the divine kingdom? Li Feng was slightly taken aback. He asked suspiciously, you don't want to settle the score with us? Tian Ping held back his killing intent and said, since the flood dragon and the others are courting death, I have nothing to say. Get lost. The East Continent does not welcome you. The reason for that was because it simply did not have the confidence to fight against Qin Feiyang. If he did, would he make a move? He was afraid that he would kill them as soon as he saw the three of them. Get lost? Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He controlled his temper and sighed. I thought the beast race would be more courageous, but I didn't expect them to be so weak. What did you say? Tian Peng raised his eyebrows. The dozen or so beast sovereigns also stared at Qin Feiyang gloomily. Nothing. But, Senior Tian Peng, although you are the beast god and rule the world, the one who can really make the decisions of the beast race seems to be the dragon god. I hope Senior can take us to see the dragon god. Qin Feiyang said. You want to see the dragon god? You're a little arrogant. The dozen or so beast sovereigns stared at Qin Feiyang with hatred. Impossible. The dragon god is not someone you can see just because you want to. Also, if the dragon god knows that you came to the East Continent to cause trouble, he will not let you go easily. That's why I'm kindly advising you all to get lost if you know what's good for you. Tian Peng said gloomily. Get lost again. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Can't you talk nicely? He smiled faintly and said, since Senior is not willing to lead the way, I have to go myself. Don't be too presumptuous. Tian Peng was furious. Presumptuous? Li Fang's eyes suddenly turned cold. He said coldly, we are already very polite. Otherwise, trash like you would have become corpses lying on the ground. What did you say? Trash like us? Tian Peng's eyes turned gloomy. Don't be so shameless. Qin Dage came to the East Continent to seek refuge because he gave you face. He didn't want to embarrass you too much. Do you really think you're something? Li Fang's eyes flashed coldly. Bastard! Where do you think you are? How dare you be so presumptuous? Tian Peng was not the only one. Even the dozen or so beast sovereigns were furious and shouted loudly. Li Fang's face was full of disdain. He stared at the dozen or so beast sovereigns and shouted, you don't agree? You're too arrogant. Sir, please give the order. The dozen or so beast sovereigns were trembling with anger. They looked at Tian Peng and shouted. Tian Peng took a deep breath and stared at Qin Feiyang. I really want to see the power of the law of life and death. Are you sure? Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked jokingly. Let me see it. Tian Peng spread his wings and flew 90,000 miles into the sky. He was suspended at the top of the sky. Strands of power of law surged out like a tide. All right. Senior, since you're so curious, I'll fulfill your wish. We'll stop here. Qin Feiyang stepped into the sky and stood opposite Tian Peng. The law of life and death gushed out. The heavens and earth began to tremble. The next moment, the kingdom of life and death was born. The will of the heavenly way contained a terrifying heavenly might that shook the world. Opposite, Tian Peng looked at the kingdom of life and death. His pupils shrank slightly. Was this the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death? Although he had heard of it, it was his first time seeing it with his own eyes. I don't believe it's so heaven-defying. The 6 ultimate profound meanings appeared out of nowhere. They were all ultimate laws. The will of the heavenly way erupted, shattering the sky and attacking the kingdom of life and death. Boom! In an instant, the two collided. An apocalyptic aura spread out from the top of the sky. Poof! Finally, Tian Peng spat out a mouthful of blood. The 6 ultimate meanings were all shattered. Although the kingdom of life and death collapsed at the same time and Qin Feiyang also suffered some injuries, this scene shocked Tian Peng and the dozen or so beast sovereigns. Was this the ultimate meaning of the law of life and death? 1 against 6. Terrifying. Truly terrifying. No wonder even the king was defeated by this person. Although the king had 3,000 incarnations, so did this person. Not to mention anything else, the kingdom of life and death was enough to determine the outcome. It was unbelievable. How did this person comprehend the law of life and death? One must know. The divine kingdom had countless strong people and countless geniuses, but so far, no one had comprehended the law of life and death. Do you still want to continue? Qin Feiyang stood against the wind with a faint smile on his face. His long hair fluttered in the wind. His temperament was ethereal, like a descendant of God. Such a calm and collected attitude made Tianping feel ashamed of his inferiority. He couldn't help but wonder if this was really a junior. Why did he look more unfathomable than these old monsters who had lived for countless years? Chapter 41:20. Below. More than a dozen beast masters looked at each other, their eyes flashing fiercely as they rushed toward the sky. Obviously, they wanted to go up and help. However, two figures stood in front of them. It was Li Feng and Long Qin. Get lost. More than a dozen beast masters were furious. Various ultimate profound meanings rained down on the two like a torrential storm. The strength of these beast masters was indeed extraordinary. Each of them had mastered 6 ultimate mysteries, including at least 4 ultimate laws. Looking down on us so much. Long Qin was stunned. Then let them experience the price of underestimating us. Li Feng bared his teeth, revealing a sinister smile. Boom! The puppet real body was activated. At the same time, Long Qin smiled disdainfully, the 6 ultimate laws roared out, and the will of heavenly path erupted. What? More than a dozen beast masters were shocked. Including Tianping in the sky. This Long Qin also mastered the will of heavenly path. That's not right. Although the Beast Clan did not participate in the invasion of the Sky Cloud Realm, they were very clear about what happened in the Sky Cloud Realm. Moreover, they had also inquired about the strength of Qin Feiyang and the others. This Long Qin did not master the will of heavenly path at all. Was this something she had comprehended? Impossible. In these short years, even an unprecedented genius would not be able to comprehend so many ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws. It must be the fusion of the inheritance. But didn't they say that the Sky Cloud Realm did not even have the ultimate laws before? How could there be the ultimate mysteries inheritance? In the blink of an eye, Long Qin and Li Feng joined forces to fight more than a dozen beast masters. The ultimate laws with the will of heavenly path could also fight 1 against 6. Long Qin's 6 ultimate laws all contained the will of heavenly path and could compete with 36 ultimate mysteries of the same realm. Li Feng himself and the puppet real body also had 8 ultimate mysteries. However, the number of beast masters was too many. Each of them had 4 ultimate mysteries of the ultimate laws, and more than a dozen beast masters had more than 50 ultimate mysteries. This had exceeded the sum of Li Feng and Long Qin. Although both of them had the strength to crush each other, now that it was a melee with more than a dozen beast masters joining forces, the two were at a disadvantage for a time. You guys are really arrogant. Although your individual combat prowess is very strong, you have no chance of winning against the massive numbers and resources of our beast race. Tianping sneered at Qin Feiyang. Really? A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. More than 10 clones appeared. 3,000 clones. Sky Peng was shocked. Go. Qin Feiyang smiled at the dozen or so incarnations. The dozen or so avatars immediately charged toward the dozen or so beast masters below with terrifying, hideous laughter. How dare you? Tianping shouted, wanting to stop them. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and summoned another 4 incarnations. They flew around the sky rock like lightning and surrounded it. Below. More than 10 incarnations charged over. The kingdom of life and death and the will of the great path were all activated. Cries of agony resounded through the sky. 5 of the beast sovereigns were severely injured. Their sea of chi was shattered and their divine souls were shattered. They had lost their ability to fight. There were 14 venerable beasts in total. Now that the 5 venerable beasts had been severely injured, there were only 9 venerable beasts left. Even if the 9 venerable beasts joined forces, they were no match for Long Qin and Li Feng. The situation was reversed in an instant. Isn't this good? Qin Feiyang looked at Tianpeng and smiled, as if he had done something very easy. Tianpeng's face was gloomy. Although it was rumored that the people around Qin Feiyang were very terrifying, he himself was the most terrifying. 3,000 clones, the Dharma of life and death, the will of heaven, wait. There was also the eye of heaven. Any one of these methods had incredible power. One could imagine how terrifying it was when all of them were concentrated on one person. On the battlefield below. The outcome had been decided. The remaining 9 venerable beasts were all suppressed by Long Qin and Li Feng. The dozen or so incarnations did not interfere after severely injuring the 5 venerable beasts. Because of this battle, Sky Ping Mountain, including Tianpeng's nest, was destroyed. Tianpeng was very distressed and angry at the same time. But now, its heart was filled with fear. The 4 incarnations besieged it. Each of the incarnations' methods were stronger than it. As long as Qin Feiyang gave the order, it would lose its life here. Qin Feiyang looked at Tianpeng and laughed. Lord Tianpeng, tell me, how should we deal with this situation? You'd better restrain yourself. Tianpeng said in a deep voice. Haven't I always been very restrained? But you've spoken rudely again and again, and the word scram never left your mouth. Do you think that the word scram makes you look more powerful? Qin Feiyang looked at it mockingly. Tianpeng was gloomy and did not speak. Qin Feiyang smiled. I personally think that you owe us an apology. After all, I've been very polite to you. Tianpeng glared at Qin Feiyang. What? Are you very unhappy? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. There was a dangerous signal in his smile. Tianpeng's pupils constricted. In the end, it lowered its arrogant head and endured the grievance in its heart. I'm sorry. Qin Feiyang raised his head and laughed. This laughter was particularly ear-piercing in Tianpeng's ears. A murderous intent flashed in its eyes as it nodded. I'll bring you to see the dragon god. Really? Qin Feiyang was stunned. In fact, he had already sensed the murderous intent in Tianpeng's heart. Tianpeng nodded. Wouldn't it be better if you did this earlier? Why did you have to force us to take action? Qin Feiyang smiled. But the next moment, murderous intent surged in his eyes as he looked at the 4 incarnations and shouted, destroy it. What? Tianpeng was shocked. Why did they turn hostile just like that? Didn't it already apologize? Boom! The 4 incarnations attacked. The 4 kingdoms of life and death exuded a destructive power. Of course, Tianpeng would not sit still and wait for death. But its resistance was meaningless. Accompanied by a scream, its physical body was directly shattered, blood staining the sky, and more than half of its divine soul was also obliterated. I really don't know who gave you the right to be so arrogant. Qin Feiyang sneered. The law of life and death emerged and sealed its divine soul. With a wave of his hand, the 4 incarnations and the dozen incarnations below all dissipated. Whoosh! Immediately after, he landed beside Long Qin and Li Feng, looking at the 14 severely injured beast venerables. What do you want? The 14 beast venerables were scared out of their wits. Even Tianpeng beast deity, who had mastered the will of heaven, was powerless in front of this person, let alone them. Qin Dage, these beast venerables are great treasures. Li Feng bared his teeth. Great treasures? What do you mean? The 14 beast venerables were puzzled. Why did Li Feng look as if he had seen a few delicious cakes? Qin Feiyang's eyes were also full of smiles. First, suppress them in Soul Sealing Valley. You personally guard them and don't give them a chance to cause trouble. Understood. Li Feng nodded. With a wave of Qin Feiyang's hand, Li Feng and the 14 beast venerables immediately disappeared without a trace. What are you doing? Where did you send them? Tian Peng's remnant soul was shocked when it saw this scene. Long Qin glanced at Tian Peng's remnant soul and said contemptuously, instead of worrying about them, why don't you worry about your own situation first? Tian Peng's remnant soul quivered. These were demons. Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while. Then he said telepathically, Little Qin, when you see the dragon god later, secretly activate your fighting soul and see if it and Tian Peng are secretly plotting something. Do you really call me that so easily? But why do I feel that it's a little awkward? Long Qin furrowed her beautiful brows. You don't like it? Okay, then I'll call you Your Highness from now on. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. Long Qin rolled her eyes. Although she wasn't used to it, she couldn't deny that when she heard Qin Feiyang call her Little Qin, there was a very special feeling. It was as if they had become more intimate. Moreover, she could also clearly feel Qin Feiyang's concern for her. Let's go and meet this dragon god. From the dragon's memory, it seems to be very strong and even has a way to restrain the 3,000 incarnations. Qin Feiyang laughed. What? Restrain the 3,000 incarnations? Long Qin was surprised. Wasn't it only her brother's god's domain that could restrain the 3,000 incarnations? That's what the dragon's memory said, but whether it's true or not, we'll have to go and meet it to know. While speaking, Qin Feiyang glanced at Tian Peng's remnant soul. You'll regret it when the time comes. Tian Peng's remnant soul snorted. Qin Feiyang's eyes narrowed slightly. Listening to Tian Peng's words, could it be that there was really a way to restrain the 3,000 incarnations? But thinking about it carefully, it didn't seem strange. The 3,000 incarnations were so powerful. If there was no way to restrain them, then the king wouldn't be so afraid when facing the beast race and the sea race. Moreover, the beast race and the sea race were the confidants of the divine kingdom's ruler. The divine kingdom's ruler would naturally give the dragon god and Neptune some trump cards that could suppress the king. Long Qin asked, do you know where the dragon god's nest is? Yes. It seems to be in a place called Dragon God Mountain. All of this was in the dragon's memory. The reason why he came to find Tian Peng first and didn't go directly to the dragon god was to prepare a gift for the dragon god. This greeting gift was naturally the Sky Peng. Dragon God Mountain. This place was located in the hinterland of the East Continent. Here, the mountains and rivers were magnificent and the scenery was pleasant. The energy of the crystal vein and the soul line turned into clouds, lingering in the mountains, making this place look like a fairyland. In the mountains, there were countless waterfalls of various sizes. Each waterfall poured down from the top of a giant mountain, converging into clear rivers that meandered through the entire Dragon God Mountain. There were also many auspicious beasts flying in the mountains. On the whole, this was a very peaceful place without any killing. At the top of one of the giant mountain peaks, the waterfall poured down like a silver-white curtain. On the side of the source of the waterfall sat an exquisite courtyard. The courtyard was about a few hundred feet wide. All kinds of flowers and plants were planted, and it was full of vitality. Inside, there was a 2-story pavilion. It was antique and had a classical aura. The melodious sound of the flute drifted across the mountain. A young man in white, about 20 years old, stood at the top of the waterfall with a jade flute in his hand. His white clothes fluttered, and he was as otherworldly as an immortal, playing a beautiful melody. Chapter 41-21. In the mountains below. Beside a river. A man and a woman walked side by side, admiring the scenery around them. The man. Dressed in white, he looked mature and steady. His every movement exuded a charm. The woman. Dressed in a white dress, long hair fluttering in the wind, obedient and cute. They looked like a pair of siblings on a scenic tour. That's right. It was Qin Feiyang and Long Qin. It's pretty good here. Long Qin glanced at the scenery around, with a hint of a smile on her fair face. Yes. This dragon god is a sensible person who enjoys life. Qin Feiyang nodded and smiled. Gradually. They also heard the melodious sound of the flute. The sound of the flute, without any murderous intent, was like a slowly flowing stream, making people forget their troubles, and their bodies and minds were in a state of emptiness. The two followed the sound of the flute and saw the young man in white standing at the top of the waterfall. What an elegant young man! Qin Feiyang chuckled. Whether it was this person's temperament or appearance, they were impeccable. Coupled with the scenery, it was as if the Son of God had descended to the mortal world. This person should be the dragon god. His temperament and appearance are not bad, much better than this stinky man in front of me, but compared to my brother, he's still a little worse. Long Qin muttered and commented. Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed and said, who's a stinky man? Also, how is he better than me? He's better than you, do you have a problem with that? Long Qin raised her head proudly. Okay. As long as you're happy. Qin Feiyang had no choice but to follow the river bank and walk towards the giant peak under the feet of the young man in white, neither fast nor slow, as if he was on a scenic tour. Long Qin looked at Qin Feiyang's back, and a strange feeling suddenly rose in her heart. This feeling was the same as when she got along with Long Chen. Inexplicably, she felt warm and safe. And unknowingly, she seemed to have developed some dependence on this man. No. I should hate him. Long Qin shook his head and mumbled. What are you mumbling about? Hurry up and keep up. Qin Feiyang said with a smile without turning his head. Why are you rushing me? Long Qin glared at his back, shook off the thoughts in his mind, and hurriedly chased after him. The young man standing on top of the waterfall did not seem to notice Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo below. He was still calmly playing his jade flute. Rivers. Small fish jumped out of the water from time to time, playing happily. Colorful birds could be seen everywhere in the forest on both sides, spreading their wings and flying high. This place was like an otherworldly paradise. Everything seemed so peaceful and peaceful. A short while later, Qin Feiyang and Qin Haodong arrived at the waterfall. As the waterfall poured down, water droplets splashed everywhere, causing the wind and air here to become incomparably cool. Standing here, it was like bathing in the spring breeze, making people feel refreshed. The two of them were at the foot of the mountain, while the white-robed youth was at the top of the mountain. They were separated by thousands of feet, but neither of them seemed to have noticed the other. Everyone played their own game. It's so comfortable. Long Qin was barefooted as he sat on a rock and dangled his feet in the water. There was a satisfied smile on his face. Hey. Can you be more civilized? How can you just take off your shoes? Also, don't smoke the small fish in here to death. Qin Feiyang said with a teasing smile. Smoke to death. Long Qin was stunned. At first, she did not react. But soon, she knew what Qin Feiyang was trying to say. He was saying that she had athlete's foot. She immediately glared at Qin Feiyang fiercely and said angrily, "You're the one with athlete's foot. You can even smoke an elephant to death." Qin Feiyang shook his head and laughed. Looking at Long Qin at this moment, she was really like a little sister next door, and he could not help but want to protect her. It seemed that this was Long Qin's original character. I really miss when I was a child, my brother often took me to such a place to play. Catch fish, table crabs. Try to rub my feet for me. Long Qin lowered her head and looked at the rippling water with a nostalgic smile on her face. What? Long Chen will rub your stinky feet for you. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Which part of my feet stinks? It's cleaner than your face. Long Qin's face darkened and she said angrily, you're really ruining the atmosphere. My good mood is ruined by you. Huh, Qin Feiyang laughed. The more he looked at this little girl, the cuter she was. Don't laugh. If you laugh again, I'll bite you. Long Qin pouted with a fierce look on her face. Bite me? So you're a dog too? Qin Feiyang shook his head and took off his shoes. What are you doing? Long Qin looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and also sat next to Long Qin. He put his feet into the water and a cool breath immediately swept over his body. Go away. Don't infect me with your athlete's foot. Long Qin immediately expressed her dislike, but she didn't really go away. Instead, there was a happy smile on her face. Think about the past. We were like fire and water. Who would have thought that we would sit here and chat with each other while soaking our feet? Qin Feiyang was full of emotions. The saying that the world was unpredictable was really vividly displayed by him and Long Qin. Long Qin lowered her head. She seemed to be recalling the past. Qin Feiyang raised his hand and patted Long Qin's head gently and said with a smile, it's really rare to have such a relationship now. In the future, whether it's me or you, we should cherish it. Long Qin didn't expect that Qin Feiyang would suddenly make such an intimate gesture. A blush suddenly appeared on her cheeks. Don't get me wrong. I don't have any romantic feelings for you. Qin Feiyang laughed. Can you not be so smug? The corner of Long Qin's mouth twitched and she couldn't help but stare at him angrily. Ha, but. If you don't mind in the future, you can also call me brother. Of course, brother will also protect you and take care of you. Qin Feiyang laughed. I don't mind. Very much. Long Qin pursed her mouth and looked at the water surface. At this moment, there seemed to be a trace of panic in her eyes. She could see that Qin Feiyang's words were very sincere. But for this sudden care, she didn't know how to respond. However, this Qin Feiyang and the dragon god's relationship was too peaceful. One was at the foot of the mountain, the other was at the top of the mountain. They were obviously close to each other, but it was as if they didn't see each other. Seeing Long Qin lowered her head and didn't say a word, Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and didn't say anything more. Because he could also understand Long Qin. Once a life and death enemy, to become today's brother and sister, must need a process of adaptation. Suddenly, the sound of the flute on the top of the mountain became high-pitched and ear-piercing. It contained a murderous aura. This made the silent two immediately raise their heads and look at the top of the mountain. The young man in white standing above was still so ethereal, and they couldn't feel the slightest murderous intent. But the sound of the jade flute in his hand contained a sense of crisis. Splash! All of a sudden, the falling waterfall, like a sharp blade, emitted a monstrous sharpness, and went straight to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly, waved his arm gently, and the law of time emerged, blocking the sky above. The waterfall containing murderous aura was blocked above. Long Qin looked at Qin Feiyang's side. Was this the feeling of being protected by this person? It was indeed very safe. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Qin Feiyang smiled again. He waved his hand again and the waterfall that was blocking the sky immediately turned into a torrent. It flowed against the current and surged towards the white-clothed young man from all directions. The young man in white was still as ethereal as an immortal. The sharp sound of the flute changed, and all the water gathered under his feet, like a god standing above the ocean. The next moment, the sound of the flute was sonorous, like a divine sword unsheathed, deafening. Immediately, the water gathered under his feet, accompanied by a deafening sound of Long Qin, transformed into a huge divine dragon, roaring as it charged towards him. The dragon god is indeed extraordinary. Even the way he greets others is so different. Qin Feiyang chuckled. In the blink of an eye, the roaring divine dragon collapsed, turned into a waterfall again, and merged into the river. Above, the sound of the flute gradually faded. The young man in white put down the jade flute and finally lowered his head, looking at Qin Feiyang and Long Qin, and said with a faint smile, "Brother Qin is also extraordinary. Coming to my place is like going on a scenic tour. Of course we have to take a good look at such a good place. I just hope we didn't disturb the dragon god." Qin Feiyang smiled, pulled Long Qin up, put on his shoes, and stepped into the sky step by step, landing opposite the dragon god. The dragon god glanced at Qin Feiyang, then looked at Long Qin, and said with a smile, "So you're of the same kind? I was wondering why I felt a little familiar." "Who's the same kind as you? Don't flatter yourself." Long Qin disdained. The smile on the dragon god's face froze. This woman really didn't give him any face at all. Long Qin turned to Qin Feiyang and said, "Didn't you prepare a greeting gift for him? Hurry up and give it to him." "A greeting gift?" The dragon god was stunned, and said with a smile, "How can I accept this? You don't have to be polite with us." Long Qin's face was full of ridicule. Looking at that teasing smile, the dragon god couldn't help but have an uneasy premonition. Chapter 41-22. Qin Feiyang looked at Long Qin in amusement. With a wave of his hand, a jade box appeared. The jade box was the size of a palm and was made of precious jade. Not only was it exquisite, but it also exuded a kind of luxurious aura. The dragon god looked at the jade box suspiciously. "Lord Dragon God, please kindly accept it." Qin Feiyang handed it to the dragon god. The dragon god took the jade box and opened it suspiciously. When he saw what was inside the jade box, his expression suddenly froze. Surprisingly, there was an incomplete divine soul sealed inside. It was Sky Peng. "Lord, save me!" Sky Peng cried for help. The dragon god came back to his senses, looked at Sky Peng's remnant soul, then looked up at Qin Feiyang and Long Qin, and said with a smile, "It's really a unique greeting gift. As long as Lord Dragon God doesn't mind." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Such a precious greeting gift, how would I dare to dislike it, thank you both." The dragon god smiled. In fact, he was thanking Qin Feiyang and Long Qin for showing mercy to Sky Peng. Immediately after, he planned to break the seal. But he found that what sealed Sky Peng's remnant soul was the law of life and death. He looked at the law of life and death, his eyes flickering. No one knew what he was thinking in his heart. Qin Feiyang looked indifferent, but there was a trace of expectation in his eyes. The reason why he used the law of life and death to seal it was actually his intention. He wanted to see if this dragon god had the ability to break the seal of the law of life and death. If he had this ability, the person in front of him must have the means to contend with the law of life and death. On the contrary, if the dragon god asked him to help break the seal of the law of life and death, it meant that the dragon god was also helpless in the face of the law of life and death. Brother Qin is really considerate. Suddenly, the dragon god chuckled and gently stroked his palm. Immediately, Qin Feiyang's pupils suddenly shrank, his face full of surprise. "What?" Long Qin secretly said. "He actually broke the seal." Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. "What?" Long Qin had not noticed it yet. When he heard this, he quickly looked at the jade box. Indeed, the seal on the heavenly rock's remnant soul had vanished. Just a gentle touch was enough to undo the seal of the laws of life and death. How did he do it? When the seal was broken, I faintly felt an aura. However, this aura was like a night-blooming epiphyllum. It disappeared so quickly that I was unable to identify what it was. Qin Feiyang thought. This dragon god is indeed extraordinary. Long Qin felt a chill in his heart, and his eyes flashed with an imperceptible light. It was obvious. She had silently activated her fighting soul. Meanwhile, the Tianping divine soul that had regained its freedom immediately flew out of the jade box and transformed into a small golden bird the size of a fist. It looked at the dragon god with an aggrieved expression and said, "My lord, please uphold justice for this subordinate." "How can I make decisions for you?" the dragon god asked with a smile. "They broke into our east continent, arrogant, despotic, and committed crimes. We must kill them as a warning to others." The heavenly rock's eyes were filled with resentment. "We let you go, but you don't know how to be grateful. You still want to kill us? Do you want to die?" Long Qin stared coldly at the heavenly rock's remnant soul. However, with the dragon god in charge, the heavenly rock was not afraid at all. There was even a trace of disdain in his eyes. Arrogant, despotic, and committed crimes. The dragon god was slightly taken aback. He smiled and said, "Then tell me, what crimes have they committed?" "They killed my beast sovereigns and kidnapped 14 of my beast sovereigns. I don't know whether they are dead or alive. Their actions are enough to prove that they do not take us beast sovereigns seriously." The heavenly rock said with righteous indignation. The dragon god smiled faintly and said, "But why did I hear that you were the ones who started it?" "No. This subordinate has been very polite to them. I even advised them to leave the East Continent, but they did not appreciate it." The heavenly rock hurriedly said. "Are you talking about leaving? You are clearly telling us to scram." Longqin's face was extremely cold. The dignified beast god, an expert who had mastered the will of the heavenly Tao, was like a villain, stirring up trouble. How shameless! The heavenly rock said angrily, "You broke into the East Continent for no reason and killed my subjects. If I don't tell you to scram, do I have to treat you like a lord?" Long Qin raised his eyebrows and looked at the heavenly rock with undisguised killing intent in his eyes. The dragon god looked at Long Qin and then at the silent Qin Feiyang. He smiled and said, "Brother Qin, do you have anything to say? Is the dragon god condemning me?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "I wouldn't dare." The dragon god shook his head. "Don't be so humble. Since the dragon god can easily break the seal of the law of life and death, you must have extraordinary means. However, I don't think there's anything wrong with what I did in the East Continent. After all, if it was you, the dragon god, and someone asked you to be their slave, I believe you wouldn't be at their mercy." Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Sure enough. The dragon god shook his head and smiled bitterly. He turned to look at the heavenly rock and said, "They are blind. Do they have the right to enslave the famous Qin Feiyang?" But, the heavenly rock was quite anxious. Why was he still speaking up for Qin Feiyang? Enough. You don't find it embarrassing, but I do. The dragon god's eyes turned cold. The heavenly rock shrunk his neck and immediately became obedient. The dragon god looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Qin and said with a smile, "Since you two came to the East Continent, you are my guests. As the leader of the beast race, I will do my best as a host. If you two don't mind, please come to the courtyard and have a seat. Deference is no substitute for obedience." Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. "Straightforward. Please." The dragon god laughed and turned to walk toward the courtyard not far away. The heavenly rock followed closely beside him. Its eyes were full of resentment. What does he want to do? Long Qin looked at the dragon god's back suspiciously. She thought that there would be a fierce battle when she came to the dragon god mountain, and she was ready to fight. But she didn't expect the other party to be so polite. You can't just look at the surface of people and things. Be careful later. Qin Feiyang secretly reminded her. Okay. Long Qin nodded. The two stepped forward and followed unhurriedly. But suddenly, Long Qin's footsteps paused slightly, and then she frowned. What's wrong? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Long Qin stared at the backs of the dragon god and the heavenly rock, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. She said, they are secretly communicating. Wait first. Long Qin secretly said. Lord, this subordinate doesn't understand, why are you so polite to them? At the same time, the voice of the heavenly rock sounded in the mind of the dragon god. You're a brute. The dragon god secretly sighed. The heavenly rock was even more puzzled. Why was it scolding it? To deal with these people, we don't need to do it ourselves. The dragon god transmitted. What do you mean? The heavenly rock was puzzled. Although Qin Feiyang and the other invaders are the people that the sovereign wants to kill, the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon race are also our old enemies. We can use these three races to deal with them. By doing so, we can test the attitude of the divine king, the sovereign, and the human race. Secondly, letting the three races fight with Qin Feiyang and the others is equivalent to weakening the strength of the three races in a disguised way. This will be more beneficial for us to control the three races in the future. The dragon god secretly smiled, as if everything was under his control. So that's how it is. Sky Ping nodded in realization. So this was a stalling tactic. His heart was stirred up as he thought to himself, then I will go to the West Continent, North Continent, and South Continent to look for the king and the others. I will ask them to immediately bring men to encircle and annihilate Qin Feiyang. No need. After learning that Qin Feiyang went to your heavenly rock mountain and severely injured you, I expected that he would come to the dragon god mountain, so I sent the golden tiger to find the sovereign in advance. The dragon god secretly said. You knew that they went to heavenly rock mountain? The heavenly rock was stunned. As long as it happened in the East Continent, how can it be hidden from me? The dragon god secretly smiled, his words full of confidence. Your Excellency is wise. These two ignorant fools. I'm afraid they still think that you really treat them as guests. The heavenly rock sneered in his heart. As expected, they're two-faced. Hearing this, Long Qin clenched his fists. What? What's the good news? Qin Feiyang secretly smiled and asked. Humph. How can there be good news? This dragon god is scheming against us, and at the same time, he's also scheming against the three major races. Long Qin secretly said. So powerful. Tell me, how did he scheme? Qin Feiyang suddenly showed a trace of curiosity. You're so careless. You've already fallen into their trap, but you're not nervous at all. Long Qin was speechless. Can being nervous solve the problem? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Long Qin rolled his eyes and told Qin Feiyang the conversation between the heavenly rock and the dragon god without missing a word. What a good scheme. Qin Feiyang heard this and couldn't help but admire the dragon god. He admired the dragon god's acting skills even more. He was obviously a typical despicable person, but he pretended to be righteous. The worst thing is that they actually called us ignorant fools. Long Qin was very unhappy. What's there to be angry about? As long as we know who the fools are, it's fine. Qin Feiyang secretly smiled faintly. Then how do you plan to solve it? Long Qin secretly asked. Qin Feiyang pondered and secretly smiled. This show must continue. Otherwise, the god race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon race will definitely be in danger. Yes. Let's not talk about the god race and the human race first. Since the purple gold divine dragon race has agreed to join forces with us, then we have the responsibility to protect their safety and not put them in danger. Long Qin nodded. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He was very surprised by Long Qin's words. He actually said that he had the responsibility to protect the purple gold divine dragon race. What did this mean? This showed that Long Qin was now a very responsible person who was considerate of others in everything. Also, the strength of this dragon god, according to your calculations, should be very strong. We also have to be careful, otherwise it's very likely that we'll overreach ourselves. Long Qin secretly warned. Yes. We can't take a wrong step now. Qin Feiyang nodded and immediately sent a message to Li Feng in the Black Tortoise domain, asking him to send a message to Dong Zhengyang and pass on the situation to Boss Ji and the others. Chapter 41-23. What? They actually want us to kill each other while the beast race and the sea race reap the benefits? Hearing this, the group of elders looked at Dong Zhengyang with shock. Yes. This is what Li Feng said himself. It can't be false. Dong Zhengyang nodded. Damn it. Our purple gold divine dragon race has worked hard for the divine kingdom for so many years, and this is the result we get in return. Is this kind of person worthy of being the ruler of our divine kingdom? There is no fairness at all. The group of elders was furious, and their hearts were filled with disappointment. At the peak of the mountain, Qin Feiyang and Long Qin had already followed the dragon god into the courtyard. In the pavilion, the three of them sat around the table. The dragon god took out a kind of divine tea and introduced it while smiling as he brewed the tea. He was elegant and had an otherworldly temperament. But looking at the dragon god at this moment, Qin Feiyang and Long Qin felt that he was very hypocritical. To be honest, their first impression of the dragon god was really good. Dressed in white, he was spotlessly clean. Holding a jade flute in his hand, he stood at the top of the waterfall like a descendant of God, ethereal and otherworldly. But who would have thought that this was his hypocritical side? It was impossible to know what was in a person's heart. This sentence was indeed true. Why don't we retreat first? Later, the king and the others will bring people to encircle us. In front of the dragon god, they definitely won't dare to go easy on us, so I'm afraid our situation will be very dangerous. Long Qin transmitted his voice. It's okay. If there is danger, I will bear it alone. I won't hurt you. Qin Feiyang laughed secretly. Long Qin was very touched when he heard this. But he was even more puzzled. Why did he still stay here after knowing that the king and the others would bring people to encircle them? The so-called acting has to be done to the essence. As long as the dragon god sees the king and the others fighting with us with his own eyes, the suspicion in his heart can be completely dispelled. Qin Feiyang secretly explained. I see. But this is too risky. Long Qin was a little worried. In this world, is there anything without risk? Don't worry, I have my own arrangements. Nothing will happen. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly. All right. When Long Qin heard this affirmative tone, his heart inexplicably calmed down. After the dragon god finished brewing the tea, he poured 2 cups and retreated to Qin Feiyang's side. He smiled and said, "Please try it." Long Qin looked at Qin Feiyang. Why are you looking at me? The dragon god is a man of virtue and prestige. Would he use poison? Qin Feiyang smiled. He picked up the teacup and placed it at the tip of his nose. The natural fragrance immediately assailed his nostrils. He nodded and said with a smile, "Good tea." Then, he drained the cup in one gulp. It seems that Brother Qin is also a kindred spirit. The dragon god chuckled. I know a thing or two. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. The dragon god smiled and asked, Brother Qin, you didn't come to the East Continent this time just to have fun, right? Sir, you have a good eye. Qin Feiyang smiled. The dragon god waved his hand and said, Don't call me sir. It's too distant. If Brother Qin doesn't mind, you can call me brother. Then I'll respectfully accept. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. He took a sip of tea and sighed. To be honest, I came to the East Continent to seek refuge. Seek refuge? The dragon god was stunned. Yes. A few days ago, I killed 3 prodigies of the god race and stole Ji Shaoyi's Eye of Destiny. Also, a friend of mine killed a prodigy of the human race at Mount Supreme. Now that the 3 major races are looking for us everywhere, I came to the East Continent to seek refuge because I have no other choice. Qin Feiyang sighed. I see. Don't worry. The East Continent is the territory of the beast race and the ocean race. The 3 major races won't dare to barge in recklessly. However, this isn't a long-term solution. After all, you are invaders. Although the beast race and the 3 major races have a deep grudge, we are still part of the divine kingdom. If the beast race helps you, it will be equivalent to betraying the divine kingdom. Of course. Personally, whether it is your courage or your methods, I admire you very much. I also want to be friends with you. However, there are some things that are not up to us to choose. I hope Brother Qin can understand. The dragon god sighed. Understood. After drinking this cup of tea, we will leave the East Continent. We won't cause trouble for you. Qin Feiyang said. Then there's no rush. We can stay in the East Continent for a while. It won't be too late for you to leave after the storm passes. The dragon god chuckled. Thank you, brother. Qin Feiyang was very grateful. He turned to look at Long Qin and said with a smile, Girl, did you see that? There are still good people in the divine kingdom. Yes, yes, yes. Long Qin nodded. This stinky man, is he a drama queen? At the same time, the dragon god and Tianping looked at each other. There was a hint of a smile in their eyes. Qin Feiyang looked at the dragon god and Tianping. He drank his tea quietly and said, Li Feng, go and ask Long Chen to come out. This time, we need his help. Tell him later, also, look for the demon ancestor Mu Tianyang. After that, Li Feng immediately went to look for Long Chen and the other 2. Time passed quietly. Half an hour passed. Inside the pavilion, it was joyous and harmonious. Endless laughter could be heard. Those who didn't know what was going on would have thought that they were a family. Boom! But suddenly, in the sky, a terrifying aura descended. They're here. Qin Feiyang and Long Qin both understood in their hearts that the monarch and the others must have come. However, on the surface, the 2 of them looked up with a bewildered expression. King. The divine king. The sovereign of the human race. Leading them were the king and the other 2. Heavenly Lord Ji and the sovereigns of the 3 races also came. There were even many old antiques. There were tens of thousands of people. This lineup was even more luxurious than when they first entered the divine kingdom and the 3 races joined forces to encircle them. Beside the king and the other 2 stood a giant golden tiger. Its fur was as soft as silk and there was a king pattern between its eyebrows. The aura it emitted was not inferior to that of the sovereigns. There was no suspense. It was the golden tiger that the dragon god sent to inform the king and the others. One of the 20 sovereign beasts. How could this be? How did they know we were here? And they even brought so many people to encircle us. Long Qin looked at the dragon god in shock and anger. The dragon god turned a deaf ear and drank his tea leisurely. The sneer in the heavenly rock's eyes was undisguised. Qin Feiyang looked at the dragon god gloomily and asked, "Brother, aren't you going to give us an explanation?" Explanation. The dragon god chuckled, looked up at Qin Feiyang, and mocked, "Do you really think you are qualified to call me brother?" "What do you mean?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "You still don't understand? It seems that you are even more stupid than I thought. To tell you the truth, I asked the golden tiger to call the king and the others. And, sitting here drinking tea with you is also to delay you." The dragon god chuckled. "What?" Qin Feiyang's face was deathly pale. "A mere ant from the sky cloud realm wants to shake my divine kingdom. How overconfident are you?" The dragon god shook his head. That look was as if he was looking at a clown. "So that's your true face. Huh, I must have been blind to believe your nonsense." Qin Feiyang's face was full of self-mockery. "It's not your fault. After all, this sovereign's mind and methods far surpass yours. It's natural that you are not my opponent." The dragon god laughed proudly. "Thank you." Qin Feiyang laughed angrily, looked up at the king and the others, and said coldly, "It seems that my revenge on you is far from enough. You are courting death." The king's eyes surged with killing intent as he shouted, "This is a rare opportunity to get rid of this root of trouble." Boom! Immediately, the divine king, the human race sovereign, and heavenly lord Ji all erupted with terrifying auras. All kinds of means, like a terrifying sword of faith, 3,000 incarnations, and the mark of the god race were all activated without reservation. Longqin's heart trembled. In front of the dragon god, the three giants were really serious. "Good, very good. You'd better not let me escape, otherwise you'll have to suffer my wrath." Qin Feiyang roared and immediately sent Longqin into the black tortoise realm. Then, he activated the moment of time and escaped without looking back. The dragon god did not stop him. He was still drinking tea, looking at the fleeing Qin Feiyang, his eyes full of ridicule. Boom! Just as Qin Feiyang rushed out of the mountain peak, the surrounding mountains erupted with terrifying ferocious power. 18 beast shadows rushed out from the mountains below. Each beast's body was as huge as a mountain, and their aura was surging. "Still want to escape? The dragon god has long been prepared. The 18 beast gods of my beast race have already surrounded this place while you were sitting here drinking tea." The heavenly Peng sneered. "You've really put in a lot of effort." Qin Feiyang was so angry that he laughed. "Kill." The dragon god waved his hand. Boom! The 18 beast gods also immediately activated their ultimate power. The will of the heavenly path erupted, and their divine aura shrouded all directions. Seeing that Qin Feiyang was in a desperate situation and was about to die, Qin Feiyang looked at the king and the others and shouted, "Wait a moment. Any last words?" The king looked at him coldly. Qin Feiyang ignored the king and looked at the dragon god. "The lives of the 14 beast sovereigns are still in my hands." The dragon god was stunned when he heard this, and the ridicule in his eyes deepened. "I knew you would use them to threaten me, but it's just a dozen beast sovereigns. Do you think I'll care? Ruthless. But I still want to return them to you," Qin Feiyang said. "Are you taking the initiative to beg for mercy?" The dragon god was stunned for a moment, then smiled playfully. "You can say that. I wonder if you're willing to give me this chance, sir?" Qin Feiyang asked. "What do you think?" The dragon god asked rhetorically. It was really the first time he had seen such a naive person. Sigh. Qin Feiyang sighed. With a wave of his hand, the 14 beast sovereigns appeared. They were all covered in wounds and smelled terrible. Moreover, their flesh was lacerated and blood flowed from their sea of qi. "Sir Dragon God, save us!" As soon as they appeared, they immediately called for help from the Dragon God. "Don't ask him for help. I've already let you go. You can go." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Let us go. The group of beast sovereigns was stunned, and immediately flew toward the dragon god in wild joy. Chapter 41-24. Everyone stared at the 14 beast venerables with a trace of vigilance in their eyes. However, there was nothing unusual in the eyes of the 14 beast venerables. Because if the 14 beast venerables had already become puppets, their eyes wouldn't be so clear. Lord Dragon God, Lord Sky Rock, kill him quickly. The 14 beast venerables not only had clear eyes, but were also full of hatred and resentment towards Qin Feiyang. The dragon god and the others slowly let down their guard. But at this moment, they were still hating Qin Feiyang a moment ago, and seemed to have lost their sea of qi and cultivation, but in the next moment, a destructive aura burst out. Self-explosion. And as this aura burst out, they were all surprised to find that the aura of the 14 beast venerables had all become imperishable realm. What was going on? How could they have expected such a thing to happen? Caught off guard, they were all submerged in the waves of the self-explosion. However, with their current imperishable realm cultivation, the self-explosion couldn't hurt the dragon god and the others at all. Of course, Qin Feiyang didn't expect that the self-explosion of the beast venerables could hurt the dragon god and the others. He was just creating an opportunity to escape. Because the sudden self-explosion of the beast venerables and their cultivation had become imperishable realm would inevitably cause the dragon god and the others, who were caught off guard, to fall into confusion and panic. And he could take advantage of the chaos to slip away. However, Qin Feiyang also knew that even if this was the case, it would be impossible for him to escape. So, he had prepared other means. In the blink of an eye. Whoosh! Just as the beast venerables self-exploded, he immediately turned around, activated the moment of time, and fled to the front. Even now, you still dare to tease me. You don't know what's good for you. The dragon god came back to his senses and looked at the destroyed dragon god mountain, his eyes suddenly filled with murderous intent. He looked up at Qin Feiyang, who had already escaped some distance away, and shouted, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and kill him for me." At this moment, there were 3 beast gods in front of Qin Feiyang. When they heard the dragon gods shout, they immediately regained their senses and charged at Qin Feiyang with ultimate intent. The monarch, the divine king, and the autarchs of the human race looked at each other and attacked as well. Hey! Qin Feiyang bared his teeth. Ignoring the monarch and the others, he stared at the 3 beast gods in front of him. As long as he could break through the blockade of the 3 beast gods, it would be equivalent to breaking out of the encirclement. Whoosh! Mu Tianyang and the demon ancestor appeared next to him without any warning. The Eye of Evil and the Eye of Despair were instantly activated. This was undoubtedly even more sudden. Even the 3 beast gods were unable to react to such a sudden turn of events. The Eye of Despair caused them to instantly fall into the abyss of despair. Following closely, the Eye of Evil controlled their 7 emotions and 6 desires, causing their eyes to instantly turn blood red. As if they had turned into 3 terrifying demon kings, they brushed past Qin Feiyang and the other 2 and went straight for the monarch and the others. This was the terrifying part of the Eye of Evil. No matter what kind of living being it was, they all had 7 emotions and 6 desires. As long as they had 7 emotions and 6 desires, they would not be able to escape the control of the Eye of Evil. What's going on? Seeing the 3 beast gods' abnormal behavior, everyone present, including the dragon god, was confused. I'm so sorry. They spent so much effort to encircle and annihilate us, but in the end, we escaped so easily. Remember to be more careful next time. But next time, we won't know who's scheming who. Also, who's the idiot here? Do you know what's going on now? Qin Feiyang's mocking laughter rang out. The group came back to their senses and immediately looked up. They saw that the three of them had already escaped to the horizon. They could only vaguely see their backs. Damn it! The dragon god was instantly enraged and yelled, "Chase after them!" The group of beast gods immediately chased after them. At this moment, the three controlled beast gods suddenly quivered and woke up. Their eyes were filled with confusion. Where is this? What are they doing? Wait, where's Qin Feiyang? Weren't they encircling and annihilating him? Why did he disappear all of a sudden? The furious dragon god stepped forward and kicked them, yelling, "You three pieces of trash, hurry up and chase after them." Okay. The three beast gods nodded repeatedly. With their heads full of doubts, they turned and flew into the sky. "Heavenly Lord, take some people with you and chase after them too. No matter what, we have to find them." The king's eyes flashed slightly as he looked at Heavenly Lord Ji and ordered. "Yes." Heavenly Lord Ji nodded, looked at the people of the purple-gold divine dragon race, and yelled, "Follow me. You guys go too." The divine king and the human supremacy also looked at the supremacies behind them and ordered. However, the human supremacy looked at the divine king and the king with a complicated look in his eyes. The evil eye is indeed powerful. At the same time, Qin Feiyang looked at Mu Tianyang next to him and smiled. "So. Mu Tianyang waved his hand, but the smugness on his face was hard to hide. "Li Feng has already told us the situation. What are your plans now?" The demon ancestor looked at Qin Feiyang and asked. "The dragon god has schemed against us, so of course we can't be polite to him." A cold light flashed in Qin Feiyang's eyes. He turned his head and looked at the beast gods chasing after them. They had already escaped the encirclement, but they still dared to chase after them. It seemed that they really didn't know what he was capable of. Swoosh! 3,000 incarnations appeared instantly. "Treat them well." Qin Feiyang smiled at the 3,000 incarnations. "Understood." The 3,000 incarnations laughed sinisterly. If he didn't know the dragon god's plan, then he would definitely be in trouble this time. But unfortunately, the dragon god had never expected that Long Qin had the ability to spy on other people's telepathy. As long as he knew the dragon god's plan, then the dragon god would be dreaming if he wanted to encircle and annihilate him. The first step to breaking out of the encirclement was naturally to let Long Qin use the soul-controlling technique to control the 14 beast sovereigns and then use their self-destruction to make the dragon god's group panic. The second step was to let the demon ancestor and Mu Tianyang suddenly attack and deal with the beast gods blocking in front of them. The third step was to use 3,000 incarnations. With these 3,000 incarnations covering the rear, even if the beast gods had heaven-defying abilities, they wouldn't be able to catch up with them. For Qin Feiyang, breaking out of the encirclement was that simple. This also showed how powerful the Eye of Despair and the Evil Eye were. This time, if it weren't for the help of Mu Tianyang and the demon ancestor, no matter how meticulous his plan was, it would be impossible to break out of the encirclement. After Qin Feiyang and the other two left, the 3,000 incarnations all turned around and looked at the dozen or so beast gods chasing after them. A bunch of idiots who don't know their limits. With a laugh, the 3,000 incarnations activated the ultimate intent of the law of life and death. The 3,000 kingdom of life and death immediately unleashed a destructive power and attacked the dozen or so beast gods. The dozen or so beast gods' faces changed drastically when they saw this scene. They hurriedly stopped and activated their ultimate intents to attack. Because it was too late to escape now. They could only brace themselves and face it head-on. But even though they all mastered the ultimate intents of the 6 strongest laws and had merged with the will of heaven, they couldn't stop the 3,000 kingdom of life and death. The dozens of ultimate intents instantly collapsed like rotten wood. The 3,000 kingdom of life and death attacked them. At this moment, Heavenly Lord Ji and the other supremacies rushed over with their men. Should we save them? Heavenly Lord Ji was a little hesitant. Because he knew the current relationship between the purple gold divine dragon race and Qin Fei Yang and the others. If these dozen or so beast gods were killed by Qin Fei Yang's 3,000 incarnations, the strength of the beast race would instantly plummet. The dragon god would also become a commander without an army. But the others around him still didn't know the relationship between the purple gold divine dragon race and Qin Fei Yang and the others. Because even the supremacies, the monarch and the divine king didn't know about the spy. In other words, except for Heavenly Lord Ji, the tens of thousands of people present still hated Qin Fei Yang and the others and regarded Qin Fei Yang and the others as great enemies. So, if Heavenly Lord Ji refused to save the dozen or so beast gods now, it would definitely arouse suspicion. Fine. He sighed. Anyway, even if these divine beasts didn't die now, Qin Fei Yang would find a way to kill them in the future. In short, no matter what, the cooperation between the purple gold divine dragon race and Qin Fei Yang couldn't be exposed. Help! With that thought, Heavenly Lord Ji immediately roared and activated his 3,000 incarnations. Together with the supremacies, they led tens of thousands of overlords and charged towards the 3,000 kingdoms of life and death. Such a collision was undoubtedly destructive. Although they successfully destroyed the 3,000 incarnations in the end, the void and land in this area had already been destroyed. A large number of beasts were also affected and their blood splashed across the sky. The pungent smell of blood filled the air and wouldn't dissipate for a few years. Moreover, by the time they defeated the 3,000 incarnations, Qin Fei Yang and the other two had already disappeared. Dragon God Mountain. It was also a mess. The dragon god's face was extremely ugly. So many overlords had joined forces to besiege this person, but he still managed to escape. This was simply a great humiliation. Especially the last sentence Qin Fei Yang left before he left. Who was the stupid one? This sentence was simply like an invisible slap, ruthlessly slapping him in the face. My lord, please calm down. The heavenly rock trembled at the side. How can I calm down? The dragon god roared. The monarch, the divine king, and the human race supremacy were also at the side. The human race supremacy already knew the thoughts of the monarch and the divine king, but he didn't expose them in front of the dragon god. This meant that he did have the thought of betraying the divine kingdom in his heart. Sigh. Dragon god, don't blame yourself. After all, it's Qin Fei Yang. We have already experienced this kid's ability. It's not that easy to deal with him. Moreover, he has the owner of the evil eye and the eye of despair helping him now. The monarch sighed. This was considered a kind comfort. But the dragon god didn't show any mercy and said in a deep voice, "Isn't it all your fault? If you didn't let them find the opportunity to kidnap Ji Shaoyi and Jiang Yunshuang and take away their strongest battle souls, would they be so difficult to deal with now? What do you mean by this? Do you think we want to do this? Jiang Yunshuang, Jiang Xing, and Jiang Zishan are all the overlords of the divine kingdom. I'm more saddened by their deaths than you are." The divine king was instantly enraged. Don't blame your own incompetence on us. We've already given you enough face by coming to help besiege Qin Fei Yang. The monarch's face was also gloomy. Everyone's status in the divine kingdom was the same. It could even be said that as the monarch, his status was even higher than the dragon gods. What right did he have to put on a high and mighty attitude and reprimand him? Chapter 41-25. You, the dragon god, glared at the king. He had brought so many people to encircle and suppress them, but the other party had escaped so easily. Now, he was saying that he was useless. Although Ji Yunwang was the king of the divine kingdom, the dragon god didn't take him seriously at all. Because the beast race was the one that the sovereign truly trusted. Now, In his hands, he held the power to kill the monarch and the others. In other words, as long as the king, the divine king, and the sovereign of the human race had something on him, he could kill them first and report later. Of course. Without something on him, he didn't dare to kill indiscriminately. After all, the king and the other two ruled a race. Without a proper reason, it was difficult to convince the public. Swish. At this moment, Heavenly Lord Ji and the others returned. How was it? The dragon god asked. I didn't stop them. Heavenly Lord Ji shook his head. Trash, all trash. The dragon god immediately cursed. What did you say? Heavenly Lord Ji raised his eyebrows. I said you are all trash. So many people, but you can't stop one Qin Fei Yang. This was the dragon god's character. Selfish, violent, condescending, and arrogant. You're courting death. Heavenly Lord Ji was now the patriarch of the purple gold divine dragon race and was considered a big shot in the divine kingdom. How could he tolerate such humiliation? Murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Heavenly Lord. The king stopped Heavenly Lord Ji and said indifferently, don't bother with some shameless people. It's beneath your dignity. Hearing this, the dragon god's anger became more and more uncontrollable. It's too much to say. If you have any problems in the future, deal with it yourself. Don't ask us for help. Heavenly Lord, take your people and go home. The king was too lazy to talk nonsense with such people. He opened a space-time tunnel and left without looking back. Clown. Heavenly Lord Ji looked at the dragon god with undisguised ridicule in his eyes. Then, he took his people and left. Seeing Heavenly Lord Ji's attitude, the dragon god clenched his fists and turned to the divine king and the human race, ready to speak. Sorry. I have nothing to say to you. The divine king and the supreme being of the human race snorted and immediately left with their clansmen. Very soon. Only the dragon god and the 20 beast gods remained. The dragon god's face sank. He clenched his fists tightly, making cracking sounds. When the sky rock saw this, he added fuel to the fire. My lord, these people are too arrogant. We have to let them know who the true master of the divine kingdom is. Don't worry. Sooner or later, I will make them all kneel before me and beg for mercy. The dragon god smiled sinisterly before standing up and looking at the 20 beast gods. He ordered, Qin Fei Yang definitely won't let this go. Continue to search for his whereabouts, I'm going to visit the sea race and have a chat with Neptune. Yes. The group of beast sovereigns responded respectfully. Late at night. West Continent's human race. A remote mountain stood towering under the night sky, appearing especially quiet. On the mountain peak. At this moment, 5 people were gathered. These 5 people were none other than Qin Fei Yang, Long Qin, the monarch, the divine king, and the supreme being of the human race. The divine king looked at Qin Fei Yang and the sky rock and smiled. Today's commotion not only angered the dragon god, but also alarmed Neptune. So what if we alarmed Neptune? Qin Fei Yang smiled faintly. You're really a newborn calf that isn't afraid of tigers. The strength of Neptune and the dragon god cannot be underestimated. The monarch shook his head. Then how strong are they? Long Qin was curious. I don't know. What we know is that they have grasped more ultimate mysteries than we do. As for other methods, I'm afraid you'll have to ask the sovereign and themselves. The monarch shook his head. Qin Fei Yang pondered for a while and asked, it is said that the dragon god has the means to restrain the 3,000 incarnations. Is this true? There is indeed such a rumor in the beast race, but whether it is true or not, I'm not sure. The monarch shook his head again. Then it seems that this dragon god really cannot be underestimated. Qin Fei Yang whispered. Definitely. After all, he can easily erase the seal you set up. Long Qin nodded. What seal? The monarch looked at the two suspiciously. It's a seal set up with the law of life and death. Qin Feiyang gave a simple explanation of how he sealed the heavenly rock. I see. The monarch nodded in realization and frowned. Wait a minute, with such a good opportunity, why don't you eliminate the root of the problem and directly kill Tianpeng? Tianpeng is such a small character, can't you kill it at any time? Long Qin said proudly. Ah! The monarch and the other two were stunned. This tone of his was really not an ordinary level of arrogance. Besides, Tianpeng was also one of the beast gods of the beast race. It was holding the will of the heavenly Tao. But in the eyes of these people, it was so disdainful. If Tianpeng himself heard it, he would probably be so angry that he would jump. Let's get down to business. Why did the three of you call us here in the middle of the night? Qin Feiyang looked at them suspiciously. Originally, he planned to start hunting the various beast venerables and beast gods of the beast race. Because every beast venerable and beast god had mastered many ultimate profound meanings. Hunting beast venerables and beast gods could not only weaken the strength of the beast race, but also increase the strength of their team at the same time. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. Moreover, with Long Chen's soul control technique, it was easy to obtain these ultimate profound meanings. However, not long ago, Dong Zhengyang sent him a message, saying that these three giants wanted to see him, so he brought Long Qin here. As soon as the monarch heard the word business, his face couldn't help but become serious, and asked, during the day, you asked Li Feng to tell the old man about the situation, are you sure it's true? Of course it's true. Would I lie to you? Qin Feiyang nodded. How do you know? This kind of thing, the dragon god can't say it in front of you. The human clan's supreme master was puzzled. Of course he can't say it in front of me. But I can assure you that his plan to let us kill each other and weaken the strength of your three races is all true. Qin Feiyang said. But where's the evidence? I need to see the evidence. The human clan's supreme master said. When he and Tianpeng said these words, they were communicating secretly. How can we get the evidence? Long Qin frowned. Wasn't this forcing him? Yes. Just as you said, they are communicating in secret. Since they were communicating secretly, how did you know? The human clan's supreme master couldn't figure it out. Long Qin frowned. Why did this person have so many questions? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, the reason why we know is because we have the ability to do so. Ability? The human clan's supreme master was stunned. Qin Feiyang didn't answer. He turned to look at Long Qin. It's okay, tell him. Long Qin waved his hands. Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the three of them with a smile. Actually, all of this is because of Shao Qin's fighting soul. One of the abilities of her fighting soul is to spy on other people's voice transmissions. What? Spy on other people's voice transmissions? The three of them were shocked. Was this for real? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and said, if you don't believe me, you can communicate secretly now and let her verify it. Sure. The three of them nodded. This was the first time they heard of such an ability. They couldn't help but feel curious. Hence, the three of them chatted in secret. After a while, the three of them looked at Long Qin and smiled expectantly. Tell me, what are we talking about secretly? Long Qin's eyes flashed with a strange light. He smiled and said, you are discussing what tea you drank yesterday. Ah. The three of them were stunned. They could really hear it. Why don't we try again? The king looked at the divine king and the human clan's supreme master. Okay. The divine king and the human clan's supreme master were also very surprised. After a while, Long Qin had a teasing smile on his face. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said, "This time they are talking bad about you secretly." Cough, cough. The three of them heard this and their expressions immediately became awkward. They could actually hear it. Qin Feiyang was stunned and asked suspiciously, "What bad things about me?" "The king said that you are a little bastard. The divine king said that you are a bandit. The human clan's supreme master said that you are an unscrupulous young man. What he said is the truth." Long Qin covered his mouth and laughed. The corner of Qin Feiyang's mouth twitched. He looked at the three of them with grievance and asked, "Am I as bad as you say?" "Ha, isn't this to verify?" The three of them laughed dryly. "Then now, do you believe it?" Qin Feiyang was speechless. "I believe it, I believe it." The human clan's supreme master nodded and smiled bitterly. "I used to be quite puzzled. Why are you so clear about our actions and situation? It turns out that you have such an ability." The king and the divine king looked at each other with bitter expressions. If they didn't know in advance, it would be impossible to guard against Longqin's ability. The king looked at the human clan supreme master and asked, "Old man, what do you think now?" The human clan supreme master pondered for a while, sighed, and shook his head. As the divine king said, "We didn't want to rebel. It was the sovereign who forced us to rebel." Hearing this, the king and the divine king immediately beamed. They finally convinced this guy. Qin Feiyang and Long Qin were also overjoyed. The human clan, the god clan, and the purple gold divine dragon clan were half of the divine kingdom's foundation. Now that these three clans had finally abandoned the darkness and joined the light, it was undoubtedly great news for them. Now, they could deal with the Beast clan, the Oceanic clan, and the Central dynasty without worry. Although the Beast clan, the Oceanic clan, and the Central dynasty cannot be underestimated, as long as the sovereign is not in the divine kingdom, we still have a chance. The human clan's supreme master said. Yes. As long as we destroy these three forces, the sovereign will be a general without an army. The divine king nodded. We can't be careless. Even if the sovereign is the only one left in the divine kingdom, he still has the ability to wipe us out. The king waved his hand. Yes. The origin energy of the divine kingdom is very strong. Although my black tortoise world also has origin energy, the origin energy of the black tortoise world is not on the same level as the divine nation's origin energy. Qin Feiyang paused, then looked at the human clan supreme master and said, "So now, we can only rely on you." Me? The human clan supreme master was stunned. Yes. Your power of faith can't even compete with my law of life and death. It is clear how terrifying it is. But your power of faith has not yet reached its strongest level. In other words, your power of faith still needs to be improved. Qin Feiyang nodded. Chapter 41-26. How do we improve the power of faith? The human race's supremacy was doubtful. That depends on the god race and the purple gold divine dragon clan. Qin Feiyang smiled and glanced at the monarch and the divine king. Look at us. The two were stunned. That's right. The faith of the human race can make the supremacy's power of faith so strong. If the god race and the purple gold divine dragon clan are added, how strong would his power of faith be? Qin Feiyang smiled. You mean to ask the god race and the purple gold divine dragon clan to change their faith? The divine king asked. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. The monarch and the divine king looked at each other and shook their heads. I'm afraid that's very difficult. Faith requires one to trust and respect the other party from the bottom of their hearts. It's useless to just talk about it. Yes. Very difficult. And now, we can't do it openly. After all, the sovereign beast, the oceanic race, and the central dynasty are all eyeing us covetously. Qin Feiyang nodded. The gap between the races was the biggest problem. The human race's supremacy was the human race's supremacy, not the supremacy of the god race and the purple gold divine dragon clan. Making the god race and the purple gold divine dragon clan believe in the human race's supremacy from the bottom of their hearts was definitely not something that could be changed overnight. It was a very long process. This matter is not urgent. Perhaps one day, we can defeat the supremacy without the power of faith. The human race's supremacy smiled. The more people praised him, the more pressure he felt. I hope so. But we can take our time to plan first. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yes. The human race's supremacy nodded. Qin Feiyang suddenly thought of something. He looked at the human race's supremacy and smiled. There's one more thing that I couldn't bring up before, but now I want to ask for your opinion. You want to talk about Lu Zhongtian's Eye of Destruction and Zhuang Mingyue's Eye of Oblivion? The human race's supremacy asked. Senior is indeed a senior. Nothing can escape your eyes. Qin Feiyang smiled sheepishly. Stop flattering me. The human clan's supreme master stared at him and pondered for a while before he said, I heard from the monarch that the owners of the strongest fighting souls are with you. Who are the owners of the Eyes of Destruction and the Eyes of Oblivion? The Eye of Oblivion is my sister. The Eye of Destruction is my ancestor. Qin Feiyang said. Ancestor? The autarch of the human clan was taken aback. Yes. Lu Xingyang. My mother is from the Lu clan. My cousin, the owner of the Eye of Nothingness, is also from the Lu family. Lu Xingyang is the ancestor of the Lu family, so naturally, he is also this junior's ancestor. Qin Feiyang explained. I see. The human Jizun was enlightened. He shook his head and smiled bitterly. Your family must have been blessed by the heavens to have given birth to so many war souls. Maybe. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. The human race's supremacy smiled helplessly and asked, then where are they now? My sister is in the sky cloud realm. As for my ancestor, I guess he is also in the sky cloud realm. Qin Feiyang said with uncertainty. Guess. As soon as these words came out, not only the human race's supremacy, but even the divine king and the monarch couldn't help but be stunned. They didn't even know where their ancestor was. Mu Qin used the all-seeing eye to check the ancestor's location, but we don't have any impression of this place, so we can't be sure now. Qin Feiyang explained. Actually, we can also use a fair test to determine the fate of the strongest fighting souls like Dong Xingyang and Ji Shaoyi. The divine king suggested. Now. Of course, he was leaning towards Qin Feiyang's side. Because as long as they reconciled, Qin Feiyang would be a member of the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan. Lin Yi was Qin Feiyang's sister, and Lu Xingyang was Qin Feiyang's ancestor. This was also equivalent to being part of the family. As for Lu Zhongtian and Zhuang Mingyue, although they were the prodigies of the human race, they were still outsiders after all. They might even become a strong enemy in the future. So, if Lin Yi and Lu Xingyang could get Lu Zhongtian and Zhuang Mingyue's fighting souls, that would be the best outcome for him. The human race's supremacy looked at the monarch and said with dissatisfaction, don't make me despise you. After knowing each other for so many years, how could he not guess the monarch's thoughts? I'm telling the truth, only the capable can get it. If Lu Zhongtian and Zhuang Mingyue can withstand the test, I will never object. The monarch said with a strong sense of righteousness. Come on. The human race's supremacy glared at him and pondered for a moment. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, since Lu Xingyang and the others are not in the divine kingdom now, let's talk about this later. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Respecting the decisions of others can also make others respect you. The human race's supremacy looked at Qin Feiyang, the monarch, and the Divine King, and said solemnly, "In addition, in order to trust each other better in the future, the four of us have to make a blood oath here. Our four forces will be united in the future and never betray each other. This is good. With the blood oath, we can rest assured." Qin Feiyang nodded. Hey, are you stupid? Have you forgotten how the monarch violated the blood oath back then? Long Qin whispered. Although her voice was not loud, the monarch still heard it. He looked quite embarrassed and said, "I didn't expect you to hold a grudge. You almost lost your life, how can you not remember?" Long Qin pursed her lips. The monarch smiled bitterly and comforted her, "Don't worry, it's not that easy to break the blood oath. The last time we were able to break the blood oath, it was the sovereign who helped us. Then who knows if there will be a next time. This was what it meant to be once bitten, twice shy. Am I so unworthy of your trust?" The monarch was helpless. "Of course." Long Qin snorted coldly. Okay. Now that everyone's position is the same, the blood oath is just a matter of formality, so that we can rest assured." Qin Feiyang comforted her and looked at the three giants. "Then let's begin." "Okay." The three giants nodded. Immediately, the four of them spoke in unison and made the blood oath. With the descent of the oath seal, the alliance of the four forces could be considered complete. The happiest one was, of course, Qin Feiyang. The monarch and the Divine King's consent was already beyond his expectations. Because in the past, whether it was Qin Feiyang or Long Chen, they all felt that the monarch and the Divine King were the most difficult to persuade than the human race's supreme being. But who would have thought that they would meet Boss Ji and this group of old people? Who would have thought that this group of old people would be so simple and kind? After getting along, they directly made a decision and expressed their position. Then it was the Divine King. Facing these pills that opened the door of potential, the Divine King was already hesitating. When she was sure that the Purple Gold Divine Dragon clan had indeed expressed their position, coupled with the help of the Beast clan, he decisively chose to abandon the dark and join the light. Even now, he was helping to persuade the human race's supreme being. As for the human race's supreme being, in fact, in the past, Qin Feiyang also thought that the human race's supreme being would only be completely determined when the sovereign made a move on him. But he never thought that the Beast clan would make such a fuss and let the human race's supreme being make a decision in advance. The credit for persuading the monarch was Boss Ji and this group of old people. But the one who convinced the Divine King and the human race's supreme being was the Beast clan. Therefore, he should be thanking the Beast clan. Since we're already in an alliance, you can't favor one and discriminate against the other. The Divine King glanced at Qin Feiyang and said. Huh? Qin Feiyang looked at the Divine King in confusion. Where did this come from? The Divine King glanced at the monarch and said sourly, someone personally said that you gave him 100 pills to open the door of potential. Ah. Qin Feiyang was stunned. The monarch smiled bitterly and looked at Qin Feiyang. I'm sorry, I was too proud at that time and accidentally let it slip. Qin Feiyang was helpless. Didn't they agree to keep it a secret? How could a monarch lose his composure so easily? This, as a human, you should take care of our human race's elites. The human race's supreme being looked at Qin Feiyang and said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. Okay, everyone has a share. But let's make it clear first, this matter must be kept a secret. The person who opens the door of potential must also be someone trustworthy. Because if this matter was leaked out, the Beast clan, the Sea clan, and the Central Dynasty would definitely come to find out. When the time came, what would they say? They encountered it by chance. Was it possible? As the confidant of the Divine Kingdom's supreme being, how could Neptune, the dragon god, and the Central Dynasty not know if the Divine Kingdom had these pills? So at that time, the Sea clan, the dragon god, and the central dynasty would definitely be suspicious. Don't worry. We won't be as big-mouthed as some people. The divine king looked at the monarch with a teasing smile. The monarch's face darkened. Didn't I just tell the two of you? I didn't publicize it, so how am I a big-mouthed person? A while later, Qin Feiyang took out 2 Qianquan bags and handed them to the divine king and the supreme being of the human race. There were 100 sets of pills in each of the 2 Qianquan bags. Looking at the medicinal pills inside, the 2 magnates immediately beamed with joy. Because these 100 sets of pills could create 100 peerless geniuses. For the God clan and the human race, this was a great fortune and luck. The supreme being of the human race carefully put away the Qianquan bags and looked at Qin Feiyang and Long Qin. So now, are you sure that there are spies of the Sea clan and the Beast clan around us? Yes. This is a very important question. We must investigate thoroughly. Don't let us open the door of potential for these spies. The monarch nodded. Not yet. At that time, the dragon god and Sky Ping didn't discuss this problem. Long Qin shook his head. Then this is difficult. The 3 frowned. If there really were spies lurking around them, it would be impossible to guard against them. This matter, leave it to us. If there really are spies, I think the beast gods will definitely know. At that time, I will read their memories. If there really are spies, then we will find a chance to get rid of them all. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Okay. I'll leave it to you. As for the door of potential, help the supremacies open it first. The 3 nodded. Although Qin Feiyang was a junior in their eyes, in terms of doing things, he felt that he was better than them. They were relieved to leave it to him. That won't do. The supremacies can't be ruled out as suspects. Qin Feiyang shook his head. You're even suspecting the supremacies? The 3 were shocked. The supremacies were all respected old men. How could they side with the Sea clan and the Beast clan? Often, the most unlikely person is the most likely one. So, don't be anxious. Qin Feiyang reminded. They couldn't be careless about this matter. Otherwise, if they were not careful, everyone would be consigned to eternal damnation. Chapter 41-27. All right. The 3 of them nodded. As the 3 rulers of the divine kingdom, they naturally understood the pros and cons. Then, do you have anything else? If not, I have something that I would like to ask for your help with. Qin Feiyang looked at the 3 of them embarrassedly and said. What is it? The 3 of them were suspicious. I need a large number of spirit veins and crystal veins, so I would like to ask if you can give me some. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. Last time, you looted 51 cities in the West Continent and took away a lot of spirit veins and crystal veins on the island. In total, there might be 20 to 30 million spirit veins. Isn't that enough? The human race supremes looked at him in astonishment. This was what made Qin Feiyang embarrassed. He had taken so much last time, and now he was asking for more. It was really embarrassing. Doesn't my black tortoise realm have a time array? It's growing rapidly every day. So now, I need a lot of spirit veins and crystal veins. Qin Feiyang smiled embarrassedly. So that's how it is. The 3 of them suddenly understood. The king asked, in other words, with a large number of spirit veins and crystal veins, it can accelerate the growth of your black tortoise realm? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then, how big is your black tortoise realm now? The king was curious. In terms of size, it's probably about the same as the eastern continent of the Sky Cloud realm. But now, it can already create low-level sovereign divine weapons. Qin Feiyang said. That's far from enough. The king shook his head and said in a deep voice, according to the sovereign, the origin power of the divine kingdom now has the ability to create peak-level sovereign divine weapons. It can't be. Qin Feiyang was dumbfounded. Wasn't this gap a little too big? It's probably true. All right. As long as it's beneficial to our future development, I'll support you. I'll go back and prepare. When the time comes, I'll give you 50 million spirit veins and crystal veins. The king smiled, 50 million spirit veins. Qin Feiyang's breathing became rapid. It was hard to imagine. Even if all the soul veins and crystal veins in the black tortoise world were added together, there wouldn't be that many. So generous. The divine king glanced at the monarch, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "All right, the divine race will also give you another 50 million. Thank you." Qin Feiyang shed tears of gratitude. The divine king and the monarch looked at the sovereign of the human race at the same time, as if asking, "Why don't you do something?" The corner of the human race's mouth twitched, and he said helplessly, "Then I'll give you another 20 million. Is that all?" The divine king was stunned. That's not enough. In addition to the 51 cities he looted in the West Continent, there should be about 50 million. The human autarch snorted coldly. No less, no less. Thank you very much, thank you very much. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand. This was much faster than looting. In an instant, he had obtained 120 million crystal veins and soul veins. The human race's sovereign pointed at Qin Feiyang and stared at the monarch and the divine king, saying, "See, he's sensible." Ha! The two laughed dryly. Qin Feiyang looked at the three of them carefully and asked, "Then when will they be in my hands?" "Kid, you really can't stand the compliment. I just said you're sensible, and now you're so ignorant. To collect so many soul veins and crystal veins without attracting the attention of others, it will definitely take time to prepare." The human race's sovereign was helpless. "Aren't you too excited?" Okay, you guys take your time to prepare. Let me know when you're ready, and I'll come and get it myself. Qin Feiyang chuckled and took out the divine voice stone. The three of them shook their heads and laughed. They also took out the divine voice stone and established a contract bridge to facilitate communication in the future. By the way, aren't you going to the East Continent to hunt the beast god? The number of soul veins and crystal veins in the East Continent far surpasses ours. The divine king laughed. What he meant was self-evident. Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at the divine king and said, "Understood. Okay, then I wish you good luck." The divine king smiled faintly and put away the divine voice stone. Without further delay, he opened a space-time passage and turned around to leave. Be careful. The monarch also reminded and left with the human race's sovereign. Why don't we celebrate? After watching the three of them leave, Long Qin turned to look at Qin Feiyang and asked. Celebrate? Qin Feiyang was stunned. It wasn't easy to persuade the human race's sovereign. Isn't it worth celebrating? Long Qin laughed. It's not the time yet. Let's wait until the Divine Kingdom's sovereign is eliminated before we celebrate. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and took Long Qin to the Devil's Land. Qin Dage, Li Feng immediately greeted him. How many ultimate mysteries have you obtained? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. Before the Dragon God Mountain exploded, all the 14 sovereign beasts had their ultimate mysteries stripped away by Long Chen's soul-controlling technique. In other words, now they had at least dozens of ultimate mysteries of supreme laws in their hands. Hee hee. Li Feng grinned and said excitedly, there are a total of 40 ultimate mysteries of supreme laws and 46 ultimate mysteries of ordinary laws. Then he took out an interspatial ring and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang took the interspatial ring and found that there were a total of 86 iron boxes in it. 14 sovereign beasts, 6 for each. That's a total of 84 ultimate mysteries. Why are there 86 now? Long Qin was puzzled. There are 2 sovereign beasts in there who have mastered 7 ultimate mysteries. Li Feng laughed. I see. 40 ultimate profundities of ultimate laws can almost create 6 powerhouses with the will of the heavenly way. What a great fortune. Long Qin was speechless and shocked. Can ultimate mysteries be described as wealth? Qin Feiyang was speechless. That's about it. Long Qin waved his hand. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He looked at Li Feng and said, then you, senior brother Feng Zi, and the demon ancestor can integrate these ultimate mysteries first. As for the 12 sealed inheritances in your hands, you can give them to others later. No. That's what we agreed on in advance. Long Qin immediately objected. Isn't it the same? Look, these inheritances are all sealed by your father. If we don't unlock the seals, we won't be able to get the inheritances inside. So when the time comes, we still have to hunt the prodigies of the beast race and the sea race. Qin Feiyang smiled and explained. Why was this woman so stubborn? Long Qin heard this and looked a little hesitant. Can't you make an exception? Rules are dead, people are alive. You can't let everyone think that you're a rigid woman. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. Okay. Anyway, you guys have never thought of following the rules. Long Qin was helpless. This was a group of people who didn't follow the rules. Talking to them about the rules was like playing the lute to a cow. Thank you, big sister. Li Feng was overjoyed. Who's your big sister? Don't call me that. Long Qin's face was cold. How is this calling me that? I'm serious. You'll be my sister from now on. Li Feng chuckled. Long Qin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He was really good at flattering people. Then hurry up and find the demon ancestor and senior brother. As for the remaining inheritances, I'll give them to your 3 sisters-in-law and Fire Lotus. Qin Feiyang looked at Li Feng and smiled. He threw the interspatial ring to Li Feng. Li Feng caught the interspatial ring and asked, what about these dozens of ordinary ultimate mysteries? This, Qin Feiyang thought for a moment and said, give them to Fire Lotus for safekeeping first. We'll decide after we see the situation. Okay. Li Feng nodded, turned around and ran toward the castle excitedly. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang stopped Li Feng again. After a moment of silence, he said, why don't you give me one of the ultimate mysteries of the space-time laws? Li Feng was stunned for a moment. He understood what Qin Feiyang meant and immediately lowered his head to look for it. Soon. He took out an iron box and handed it to Qin Feiyang. Then, he ran away without looking back. Long Qin looked at Li Feng's back and said to Qin Feiyang, don't tell me you're really planning to let the people around you master the will of the heavenly Tao. Otherwise, why would he give those dozens of ordinary ultimate mysteries to Fire Lotus for safekeeping? I do have such a plan. Almost every sovereign beast of the Orc clan has 3 to 4 ultimate ultimacies of the ultimate law. At the very least, they have 1 or 2 ultimate ultimacies. It's not impossible to capture all of these sovereign beasts. But the premise is that your big brother helps me. Qin Feiyang said with a smile. You only know how to take advantage of others. If my big brother helps you, what will we get? Long Qin was displeased. We're family. How can you say that? Isn't what's mine yours? Qin Feiyang laughed. That's nice to say. But my big brother may not agree to this matter. After all, you and our father still have a grudge that hasn't been resolved. Long Qin said. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but fall silent. Yes. He still had a grudge with Ice Dragon. Now that Long Chen helped him, it was tantamount to dealing with his father in disguise. Although Long Chen was a very loyal person, if Long Chen had to choose between him and Ice Dragon, he would definitely choose Ice Dragon. It seemed that he had been too optimistic about the problem. Forget it. Let's talk about it after I integrate this ultimate mystery of the spacetime law. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and strode away. In fact, he had also thought about the grudge with Ice Dragon and Small Beast. Thinking back, the grudges with the demon ancestor, Dong Xingyang, Mu Qing, Long Chen, and Long Qin were actually quite deep. But he could let go of the grudges with these people. And there was no pressure. But he couldn't let go of the grudge between Ice Dragon and Small Beast. Even if he tried to persuade himself, it was useless. He couldn't get over the hurdle in his heart. In short, if he didn't find Ice Dragon and Small Beast and get justice, he would never be able to calm his heart. At the same time, looking at Qin Feiyang's back as he left, Longqin's expression was extremely complicated. According to her previous thoughts, in the future, she would definitely fight to the death with Qin Feiyang and the others. But who would have thought that it would develop to this point? Fighting side by side, living and dying together. Close like a family. Therefore, this also made her feel conflicted and tangled. How should she deal with the grudge between Qin Feiyang and her father in the future? If Qin Feiyang and her father really fought to the death in the end, what should she do? Chapter 41-28. Outside. The news of Qin Feiyang and the others breaking into the East Continent, killing the Beast Lord, severely injuring the Heavenly Peng, and destroying the Dragon God Mountain spread like wildfire in the West Continent, South Continent, and North Continent. These people are truly audacious. First, they looted 51 cities in the West Continent, then went to the God race to cause trouble, and now they're going to the East Continent to fight with the Beast race. Why do I feel like there's nothing they don't dare to do? There's nothing they can do. They have the ability. It's said that the beast gods of the Beast race, the human race, the God race, and the purple gold divine dragon race all gathered at the Dragon God Mountain, but they couldn't stop them. How terrifying do you think these people are? We can only look up to them. Everyone was discussing. Was there really no one who could subdue these people? When were they going to stop? The beast race of the East Continent. Day after day, the beast gods almost turned the East Continent upside down, but they couldn't find Qin Feiyang and the others. This made them very angry. At the same time, the God race, the human race, and the purple gold divine dragon race also pretended to hunt down Qin Feiyang and the others. But secretly, the three giants were collecting the spirit veins and crystal veins. This matter. Even the supremacies didn't know. Using the divine kingdom's spirit veins and crystal veins to nurture the black tortoise realm was equivalent to using the enemy's resources to strengthen oneself. Why not? In the blink of an eye, 2 years had passed. The black tortoise realm. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted from the devil's land. The will of the heavens descended from the sky. The white-eyed wolf ran out of the castle, his face full of excitement. That's right. The owner of this aura was the white-eyed wolf. After 2 years of seclusion, he finally grasped the 6 ultimate laws and welcomed the arrival of the will of the heavens. Long Qin, you stinky woman, come out and die. After merging with the will of the heavens, he immediately began to clamor. Whoosh! Long Qin descended and said angrily, do you want to die? TCH. Come, let's see who's courting death. White-eyed wolf's face was full of disdain. Really? Long Qin pursed his lips playfully. The mid-level sovereign divine weapon, the heavenly god sword, appeared. Fuck. Are you going back on your word? Who said anything about using a sovereign weapon? White-eyed wolf said angrily. You didn't say that I can't use a sovereign weapon, did you? Long Qin laughed mockingly as he gripped his angelic sword and charged towards the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf turned around and ran. Although he also had a sovereign weapon, the Ghost Divine King's throne and the Crimson Dragon's shield were both low-level sovereign weapons. They were worlds apart from the Angel Sword. As for his own strength, Long Qin also controlled the will of the heavenly path, so they were almost evenly matched. Therefore, if he didn't run, he could only wait to be beaten up. But in the end, he still couldn't escape the fate of being beaten up. The Angel Sword was nothing in front of Qin Feiyang because he had 3,000 incarnations. But for people like the White-Eyed Wolf, the Angel Sword was an invincible existence. Another year passed. Boom! The ancient castle once again erupted with an aura. This aura was even stronger than when the White-Eyed Wolf came out of seclusion. It was Qin Feiyang. After 3 years, he finally comprehended the law of space and time and successfully integrated the ultimate profound. Immediately, he walked out of the ancient castle and looked at the sky. His eyes were filled with anticipation. At the same time, hearing the commotion, Long Qin and the White-Eyed Wolf also appeared. Looking at the clear sky, they were also a little nervous. Would the second will of the heavenly path be ushered in? Time passed breath by breath. In the sky, there was still no movement. It seems that we are thinking too much. The White-Eyed Wolf smiled bitterly. No. Long Qin was about to speak, but his pupils suddenly constricted as he stared at the sky. He saw pieces of golden clouds slowly appearing from the horizon, and then like a tide, rolling towards the sky above the Devil's Land. The White-Eyed Wolf's spirit was suddenly shaken. Qin Feiyang was also excited. This seemed to be the precursor of the will of the heavenly path. However, in the next moment, the eyes of the three were full of surprise. This was because there were countless golden lightning bolts roaring within the golden clouds. What was going on? How could there be lightning? Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying aura, like a volcanic eruption, rolled out in the sky. The heavenly might was terrifying, shaking the entire Black Tortoise realm. This is not the will of the heavenly path, this is the heavenly tribulation. It is even more terrifying than the sovereign divine weapon's heavenly tribulation. Hurry up and get out. Little Brat descended from the sky, staring at Qin Feiyang and shouting, looking extremely anxious. Heavenly tribulation. Qin Feiyang's face also changed abruptly. How could this be? Why would the heavenly tribulation descend? Rumble. He didn't have time to think. Golden lightning roared in the sky, and the heavenly might was enough to destroy the world. With a thought, he immediately appeared outside. Immediately, the originally calm mountains and rivers outside were suddenly enveloped by the heavenly might. In the sky, the golden tribulation clouds surged, and in an instant, enveloped the entire sky. The terrifying aura also immediately alarmed the entire West continent. The creatures in the nearby mountains and rivers fled frantically as if they were running for their lives. What is that? Supreme Mountain. The human race supreme being in the 10 supremacies also ran out one after another, staring at the golden tribulation clouds in the sky in horror. This seems to be the heavenly tribulation. Who is transcending the tribulation? The commotion is so terrifying. The 10 supremacies looked into the distance, their eyes full of surprise. This position, the human race supreme being's eyelids twitched. The source of this aura seemed to be the place where they met Qin Feiyang. Could it be that the one transcending the tribulation was Qin Feiyang? But what kind of heavenly tribulation was this? Judging from the strength of the aura, it was many times more terrifying than an ordinary heavenly tribulation. You guys guard Supreme Mountain, I'll go take a look. The human race supreme being's eyes flashed, and he looked at the 10 supremacies and said. Then, he opened a space-time tunnel and walked in without looking back. Supreme Being, be careful. The 10 supremacies roared. Because this heavenly tribulation was simply too strange, and there might be some danger. In the blink of an eye. At this moment, The creatures in the nearby mountains and rivers had already fled without a trace. In the entire mountain, only Qin Feiyang was there. He stood at the top of the mountain and looked at the sky, his brows tightly knitted together, and he was also puzzled. Swoosh! As a space-time tunnel appeared, the human race supreme being walked out, and when he saw Qin Feiyang at the top of the mountain, a wry smile appeared on his face. It was indeed this kid. It was like this every time. It was fine if he didn't cause trouble, but once he did, it would definitely cause a huge commotion. But now, what was he trying to do? Senior. Qin Feiyang looked at the human race supreme being and smiled. You're still in the mood to smile. Tell me, what are you doing? The human race supreme being landed beside Qin Feiyang and asked angrily while scanning the surrounding mountains and rivers, his eyes full of vigilance. This was to prevent the spies of the beast race and the sea race. But now, there was not a single creature nearby, so he didn't have to worry too much. I don't know either. Previously, when I successfully grasped the ultimate meaning of the space-time laws, I thought that I would usher in the second will of the heavenly Tao, but I didn't expect to encounter this strange heavenly tribulation. Qin Feiyang smiled bitterly. The ultimate meaning of the space-time laws? The human race supreme being was stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. In that case, apart from the life and death laws, you have already grasped 6 supreme laws? The human race supreme being was surprised. Yes. Death laws, life laws, destruction laws, cause and effect laws, space-time laws, and time laws. Qin Feiyang said truthfully. How is it so fast? The human race supreme being was stunned. How long had it been, and this kid had already comprehended the ultimate meaning of the space-time laws? I didn't comprehend it, but I fused it. Qin Feiyang said. Fused? The human race supreme being was slightly taken aback. This kid actually had so many ultimate inheritances in his hands. Puzzled, he said, that's even more wrong. Why would fusing inheritances cause a heavenly tribulation, and it's so different? That's why I'm also very puzzled. Qin Feiyang was helpless. Alright. Kid, I really can't treat you with ordinary eyes. However, your heavenly tribulation is a little too big. I'm worried that it will attract the beast race and the sea race. At that time, they will interfere and I'm afraid you'll be in danger. The human race supreme being asked worriedly, why didn't you directly undergo the heavenly tribulation in the black tortoise world? Why did you have to run out? The black tortoise world is too weak to withstand such a heavenly tribulation. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Then there's no other way. We can only take it one step at a time. Anyway, you have to be mentally prepared. If you alarm the sea race and the beast race, I won't help you. No. Not only will I not help you, but I will also join them to deal with you. At that time, don't blame me. The human race supreme being said in a deep voice. I know. Don't worry, if it really comes to that, I won't sit still and wait for death, and I won't implicate you. Qin Feiyang smiled. That's fine. The human race supreme being nodded, looked up at the sky, shook his head, and turned to leave. Crack. Finally. The first heavenly tribulation descended. Qin Feiyang's expression immediately became solemn. This aura was actually countless times more terrifying than the heavenly tribulation when he comprehended the ultimate meaning of the life and death laws. It could be said that, this was the most terrifying heavenly tribulation he had ever faced so far. No. I have to be prepared in advance. Qin Feiyang's heart sank. One had to know. Back then, when he comprehended the ultimate meaning of the life and death laws, he copied the ultimate meaning of the white-eyed wolf, Long Chen, Frenzy, Li Feng, Long Qin, and everyone else, but he couldn't successfully pass the heavenly tribulation in one go. If it wasn't for the help of the sky-swallowing beast, he would have to copy it a second time. And this heavenly tribulation was even more terrifying than the previous one. And it wasn't just 1 or 2 times. So it wasn't hard to imagine how many ultimate meanings he had to copy this time to successfully pass the heavenly tribulation. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice, White-Eyed Wolf, quickly inform everyone not to rush into seclusion, come out and help me. Okay. White-Eyed Wolf replied. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also decisively activated the 3,000 incarnations, and the 3,000 life and death kingdoms appeared above his head. Boom! The first golden heavenly tribulation struck. Accompanied by an earth-shaking loud noise, more than a dozen life and death kingdoms shattered on the spot. What? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The first heavenly tribulation could shatter more than a dozen life and death kingdoms. What a joke. One had to know. The ultimate meaning of the life and death laws was 6 times stronger than the ultimate meaning of the strongest laws. If it were the ultimate meaning of the strongest laws, wouldn't it take 60 or 70 life and death laws to block the first heavenly tribulation? Chapter 41-29. After witnessing the power of the heavenly tribulation, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but worry. If the beast race and sea race really received the news and came to encircle him, he would have to face such a terrifying heavenly tribulation while facing the experts of the divine kingdom. There was no way for him to survive. Because last time, when facing the ultimate heavenly tribulation of the law of life and death, just the king, the sovereign of the human race, and the divine king, almost took his life. Not to mention, now he had to face the experts of the entire divine kingdom. Brat! Can you make an exception and let me undergo the tribulation in the Black Tortoise world? Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Black Tortoise world. Brat stood in the sky, and there was a scene in the void in front of him. It was the scene of Qin Feiyang undergoing the tribulation. Actually, he was also hesitating. This heavenly tribulation was already beyond imagination. If he continued to undergo the tribulation outside, it would attract the sea race and beast race sooner or later. Because the commotion was too big, it was hard not to know. But with the current Black Tortoise world, if Qin Feiyang were to undergo the tribulation here, his vitality would be greatly damaged. Swish! At this time, White-Eyed Wolf, Long Qin, Li Feng, Long Chen, Madman, Mu Tianyang, and the others all rushed over. Even Fire Lotus, Mermaid Princess, and the others were awakened. When they saw the heavenly tribulation outside, the group of people's expressions changed. No. We definitely can't let him undergo the tribulation outside. Long Chen immediately looked at Brat and said. He was also clear about the current situation of the divine kingdom. Unless the divine king, and the sovereign of the human race helped, Qin Feiyang would definitely die when the sea race and beast race arrived. But if the king and the other two helped, it would expose their betrayal in advance. Brat, think of a way. Madman also looked at Brat anxiously. Why are you rushing me? Can't you see that I'm troubled? Little Kid glared at the maniac, then stared at Qin Feiyang on the screen. He suddenly clenched his teeth and turned to Fire Lotus, saying, bring everyone to the northern, southern, and eastern regions at once. Move all the living beings and resources to the middle continent. Transfer. Fire Lotus was shocked. That's right. Move them to the central region and protect them together. All of you should prepare yourselves. I'm afraid that the Black Tortoise world will be torn apart this time. The little brat rubbed his forehead. All right. Fire Lotus nodded and shouted, Pai Lupi, Theta Wang, Big Black Wolf, and all hidden guards, come out of seclusion immediately and follow me to transfer the resources and the living beings of the 3 regions. Whoosh! Figures immediately rushed out from various places in the Devil's Land. The Fire Lotus had the authority to control the Black Tortoise realm, so with her leadership, they would be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. All the divine artifacts in the land of origin, stop cultivating immediately and follow the fire lotus to help. Little Kid also spoke again. Clang. Whether it was the divine artifacts of the sovereigns or the divine artifacts, they all rushed out of the land of origin and headed to the three regions. Is it too late to make arrangements now? The white-eyed wolf frowned. It's too late. After all, there's a time difference between the black tortoise world and the outside world. Long Chen comforted him. The black tortoise world nervously made arrangements. Outside, Qin Feiyang was about to face the second tribulation. But at the same time, the East Continent. The Dragon God Mountain. Lord Dragon God. 3 years passed. Tianpeng had already reconstructed his body. The Dragon God Mountain had also returned to its original appearance. Tianpeng looked at the Dragon God sitting in the pavilion and said, "There's news that a strange tribulation suddenly appeared in the West Continent." A strange tribulation? The Dragon God was stunned. Yes. A golden tribulation. It said that it's countless times more terrifying than the divine artifacts tribulation. It has already shocked the entire West Continent. Tianpeng nodded. Who's transcending the tribulation? The Dragon God frowned. I don't know. The aura is too terrifying. No one dares to get close. Tianpeng shook his head and said, but this subordinate guesses that it might be related to Qin Feiyang and the others. Are you sure? The Dragon God suddenly stood up. I'm not sure. But I think that other than these people, there doesn't seem to be anyone else who can cause such a big commotion. Tianpeng frowned. If that's the case, then we'll go and take a look ourselves. If it's really Qin Feiyang, then we'll take this opportunity to get rid of him. Immediately go to the Oceanids and ask Neptune to come out of seclusion. The Dragon God ordered, killing intent flashing in his eyes. Yes. Tianpeng nodded respectfully, then opened a space-time passage and left at lightning speed. Boom! The second tribulation descended. This time, dozens of life and death kingdoms were shattered on the spot. It was too terrifying. Qin Feiyang's heart was also unprecedentedly uneasy. Boom! The third tribulation began to brew. The heavenly might shook the world. A short while outside, but a long time had passed in the Black Tortoise world. Fire Lotus returned to the Devil's Land alone, looked at Little Wimp and said, they've all been transferred to Zhongzhou. The divine artifacts and Pei Tianhong are now in Zhongzhou. Calm everyone down. After all, such a sudden transfer would definitely cause panic. Little Wimp nodded, took a deep breath, looked at Qin Feiyang in the image, and said to Frenzied and the others without turning his head, Fire Lotus will stay, the others will go to the western region to help him transcend the tribulation. At the same time, he secretly informed Qin Feiyang. Okay. White-Eyed Wolf and the others nodded, opened a space-time passage, and descended above the western region's Blood Sea. Qin Feiyang was pleasantly surprised when he heard Little Wimp's words, and immediately appeared above the western region with his 3,000 incarnations. Although his appearance caused the tribulation to once again transfer to the Black Tortoise world, the entire western region's sky was instantly covered by golden tribulation clouds, and the terrifying aura was earth-shattering, causing huge waves to rise in the Blood Sea. Quickly activate your ultimate meaning. Qin Feiyang shouted. The 3,000 incarnations directly activated the Eye of Heaven. White-Eyed Wolf and Long Qin naturally didn't need to be mentioned, they had already grasped the ultimate meaning of 6 supreme laws. Frenzied, Li Feng, and Long Chen had also grasped quite a few. Mu Tianyang and Mu Qing had also grasped 1 or 2 ultimate meanings after these years of seclusion. The Demon Ancestor, Mermaid Princess, Fire Lotus, Shuoxiaoxian, and Fire Dance had also fused with 1 ultimate meaning in these 3 years of seclusion. If all of them were to be replicated, there would be quite a number. At the same time, the Devil's Land. Little Wimp looked at the destroyed mountains and rivers outside and ordered, "Fire Lotus, immediately control the Black Tortoise world and leave this place. I will personally protect the Devil's Land and Middle Ground." "Okay." Fire Lotus nodded. She understood what Little Wimp meant. If the Black Tortoise world continued to stay in the mountains and rivers, when the Sea Race and the Beast Race descended, they would be able to find the Black Tortoise world immediately. Therefore, they had to immediately control the Black Tortoise world and leave this place. Little Wimp soared into the sky. As he waved his small hand, endless origin energy descended from the sky and landed on Middle Ground and the Devil's Land, forming two huge barriers to protect Middle Ground and the Devil's Land. With such concentrated protection, the pressure on him would be much less. And if he didn't transfer the living beings and resources of the three major regions, then he would still have to protect the eastern, northern, and southern regions. If he did this, the origin energy would be too scattered. At that time, he might not be able to protect all the places. He was staking everything on this one throw. Outside. With Qin Feiyang's departure, the tribulation clouds also disappeared. The human race supremacy, who was hiding in the distance, couldn't help but be stunned when he saw this scene. Why did the tribulation disappear? However, thinking carefully, Qin Feiyang should have seen the power of the tribulation and realized the danger, so he went to the Black Tortoise world to transcend the tribulation. But could the Black Tortoise world withstand such a tribulation? Swish! Suddenly, powerful auras descended one after another. A hint of a smile flashed in the human race supremacy's eyes. He no longer hid it and stepped into the air. Soon, he saw two figures standing in the sky above Qin Feiyang's tribulation. It was the Divine King and the Monarch. "Supremacy, what's going on? There seems to be Qin Feiyang's aura remaining. Could it be that he is transcending the tribulation?" The two of them saw the human race supremacy flying over and immediately asked in surprise. "That's right. He is transcending the tribulation." The human race supremacy nodded. "Where is he?" the Divine King asked. "He should have gone to the Black Tortoise world to transcend the tribulation." The human race supremacy released his divine will and scanned the surroundings, but he didn't find the Black Tortoise world. He shook his head and smiled. "These little guys are really vigilant. They left with the Black Tortoise world so quickly. What kind of tribulation is this? Even the North Continent and the South Continent can faintly feel the aura of the tribulation." The Divine King's face was filled with disbelief. "I only know a rough idea. Let's talk to him in detail after he successfully transcends the tribulation. By the way, are your crystal veins and spirit veins ready?" the human race supremacy asked secretly. "Ready." The two of them nodded. Swish! At this moment, more and more terrifying auras descended. The three of them were shocked. They looked up and saw the dragon god and 19 divine beasts descending in the sky. They came so quickly. Looks like there are indeed many spies of the beast race in the three continents. The Divine King muttered secretly. As soon as the dragon god and the 19 divine beasts descended, they immediately released their divine will and spread it in all directions. "My lord, there is indeed Qin Feiyang's aura here. Looks like he is the one transcending the tribulation," the golden tiger said. "Where is Qin Feiyang?" The dragon god's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he stared at the three divine beasts. "I don't know. When we first arrived here, he had already disappeared without a trace." The three of them shook their heads. "Disappeared?" The dragon god raised his eyebrows and glared at the human race supremacy. "This is your territory. As the ruler of the West Continent, how could you let him escape from under your nose? What do you mean by that? It's not like you haven't seen the methods of Qin Feiyang and his group. 3 years ago in the East Continent, he could easily escape when surrounded by the beast race. Let alone now in the West Continent. The West Continent is not as strong as the East Continent. The human race supremacy said angrily. The dragon god was enraged. Swish. At this moment, Tianping also descended with a group of people. The leader was a middle-aged man in a golden robe. He was about 1.9 meters tall and was quite burly. He exuded the aura of a superior. On his back, there were pairs of golden wings, like a golden-winged angel. This was the ruler of the sea race, Neptune. The other sea race members behind Neptune also had wings of various colors. Each of them exuded an unfathomable aura. Chapter 41:30. It's Qin Feiyang's aura, but, when Sky Ping sensed Qin Feiyang's remaining aura, his spirit was suddenly lifted, but when he scanned the void, his expression was a little dazed. He couldn't help but ask the dragon god and the others, where is he? He has already slipped away. Golden Tiger said in a deep voice. What? We let him slip away again. Sky Peng's expression froze. The group of sea folk also had a look of astonishment. The dragon god said coldly, I now have reason to suspect that Qin Feiyang was deliberately let go by the king and the others. When Neptune heard this, he immediately looked at the king and the others. Idiot. The king and the others were very calm as they looked at the dragon god sarcastically. He had to be calm. Otherwise, he would be exposed. What did you say? The dragon god clenched his fists. The hatred between Qin Feiyang and our three races is irreconcilable. Would we deliberately let him go? A slightly smarter person wouldn't say such a stupid thing. The king smiled contemptuously. The dragon god was burning with anger, and his entire body was filled with a shocking murderous aura. Everyone stop. Now is not the time to cause internal strife. Since Qin Feiyang did indeed undergo tribulation here, even if he escaped, he can't have gone too far. Let's split up and look for him. The Sea King spoke. His voice was full of energy and carried with it a formless pressure. That's right. It's impossible to undergo tribulation so quickly. He must have escaped to another place to undergo tribulation. As long as we find him before he succeeds, our 5 races will join forces and easily eliminate him. Another member of the sea race said. All right. Then let's split up and look for him. If there's any news, immediately inform everyone. Don't alert the enemy. The king nodded. Black Tortoise Realm. West Region. Thunder rumbled. A terrifying divine aura swept out in all directions like a tide. At this time, the sea of blood had evaporated. The entire west region was shattered, dust flying everywhere. Moreover, the eastern domain, southern domain, and northern domain were also suffering from devastating disasters. The void collapsed and the earth caved in. It was like a scene from the end of the world. This was not only caused by the heavenly might, but also by the ultimate profound that Qin Feiyang and the others had activated. Each of these ultimates was comparable to a sovereign weapon. Especially Qin Feiyang, the mad scientist, and Longqin's ultimate Upanishads, which contained the will of the Great Path, were even more powerful. With so many ultimate profound meanings and a terrifying heavenly tribulation, one could imagine how terrifying the destructive power would be. Little Wimp, who was standing in the sky above the Devil's Land, observed the changes in the Black Tortoise world with a heavy heart. Furthermore, deep worry could be seen on his face. This was only the beginning. Tribulation transcendence, as everyone knew, the closer one got to the end, the scarier it became. Now that the 4 regions of the Black Tortoise world were almost destroyed, it was hard to imagine what would become of the Black Tortoise world in the end. Especially when the last heavenly tribulation descended. The last tribulation was the sum of the previous 98 tribulations. For the Black Tortoise world, it would be a catastrophe. But he also knew. This matter could not be blamed on Qin Feiyang. Because this was also not within Qin Feiyang's expectations. Furthermore, now that he was in the divine kingdom, the situation was forced and he could not undergo the tribulation outside. He did not dare to hope for anything else, he only hoped that he could protect the central state and the devil's land in the end. If even these two could not be protected, then the Black Tortoise world would really be heading towards the end. At this moment, time passed very slowly. After more than a dozen heavenly tribulations, the 3,000 incarnations finally replicated the ultimate profound of Long Chen and the others. But the white-eyed wolf and Longqin's ultimate profound was still a little lacking. Because the two's ultimate profound contained the will of the Great Path, it was more difficult to replicate than the ultimate profound of Long Chen and the others. In other words, the speed of replication was even slower. However, with the ultimate profound of Long Chen and the others, coupled with the ultimate profound of Qin Feiyang himself, they could hold on for a while. Buzz! Suddenly, Fire Lotus's divine sound transmission stone moved. She took out the divine sound transmission stone doubtfully. Who would send her a message at this time? When the divine sound transmission stone was revived, she found that it was Dong Xingyang. Is Qin Feiyang okay? Dong Xingyang asked with concern. There is no danger for the time being. Fire Lotus smiled slightly. Can the Black Tortoise world withstand his heavenly tribulation? Dong Xingyang was worried. Don't worry. We have already made preparations. Fire Lotus comforted and asked suspiciously, but, how did you know? Just now, the monarch sent a message to Boss Ji and specifically told him about this. And the monarch also told me to tell you that the human race, the god race, the purple gold divine dragon race, the sea race, and the beast race, the 5 major races have joined forces and are searching for you everywhere. You must be careful. Dong Xingyang said in a deep voice. So fast. Fire Lotus frowned. It is said that Neptune has also personally appeared. Now that Qin Feiyang is undergoing his heavenly tribulation, you must not be found by them. Otherwise, facing the 5 major races, the Black Tortoise world will be directly destroyed. Dong Xingyang warned. Phew. Fire Lotus took a deep breath and said, we will be careful. You also have to be careful in the village. N. Dong Xingyang nodded. After ending the conversation, Fire Lotus looked up at Little Wimp and said with lingering fear, fortunately, we made arrangements in advance. Otherwise, not only Qin Dage, but even us and the entire Black Tortoise world would be facing a fatal crisis. Little Wimp's face was also filled with joy, but then he said angrily, what is going on? Such a terrifying heavenly tribulation after fusing with the spacetime law's ultimate profound, is the heavens deliberately torturing us? I also thought about it carefully. Could it be because of the second will of the heavens that we need to go through a test? Fire Lotus frowned. The second will of the heavens. Little Wimp muttered. After thinking about it, I feel that this is the only reason that makes sense. Perhaps when Qin Dage succeeds, he will be able to welcome the second will of the heavens. Fire Lotus smiled. You are really optimistic. Little Wimp shook his head. Right now, he did not want to think about the will of the heavens at all. What he was most worried about was the Black Tortoise world. Middle region. At this moment, all the living beings of the 3 major regions were gathered here. There was only one word to describe it. It was overcrowded. Whether it was on the ground or in the void, there were humans and beasts. Under the efforts of Pei Tianhong and the others, they had all calmed down and looked in the direction of the western region, silently praying in their hearts. Nothing must happen. In the blink of an eye. Half an hour passed. A short half an hour, to all the living beings in the Black Tortoise world, seemed to have passed as long as a few centuries. Boom! The aura surging from the western region became more and more terrifying. The northern region, southern region, and eastern region had all been razed to the ground, and the ground was filled with cracks. It was a shocking sight. The enchantment of the middle region was also constantly distorted and trembled under the impact of this aura. This enchantment condensed from the origin energy seemed to be about to break at any time. Even if they were inside the enchantment, the living beings of the Black Tortoise world could feel a great sense of crisis. So strong. If we leave this enchantment now, I'm afraid even we will be instantly killed. Looking at the turbulent collision of destructive aura outside, Pei Tianhong and the group of Dark Guard commanders' faces couldn't help but turn pale. So you can imagine what kind of crisis the young master is facing now. Wang Changyuan whispered. His hands were tightly clenched together. God, please, don't torture the young master anymore, okay? He has suffered enough in his life. Crack. Suddenly, a shattering sound rang out. A small crack appeared in a certain part of the enchantment. The crack was about the size of a strand of hair. But that terrifying fluctuation rushed into the enchantment from the crack, and the bodies of the dozens of living beings closest to it were shattered on the spot. The souls that were lucky enough to survive immediately began to frantically flee for their lives. Not good. Pei Tianhong and the others also had a change of expression and immediately rushed over. The power of the various great laws surged over. But they couldn't block that fluctuation at all. Crap. Little Wimp noticed the situation in the middle region, and his face instantly changed. He raised his hand and pointed in the air, and a ray of divine light entered Fire Lotus's forehead. He said in a deep voice, "You can now control the origin energy. As for controlling the Black Tortoise world to escape, leave it to me first. Immediately go to the middle region, and do your best to protect the living beings in the middle region." Okay. Fire Lotus nodded. In the past, she could only control the Black Tortoise world's origin energy. But now, she could even control the origin energy. It could be said that the current her was almost like a little wimp, having absolute control over the Black Tortoise world. It was just a moment's effort. The middle region was in a mess. That crack was getting bigger and bigger. More and more living beings were affected. Pei Tianhong and the others' bodies were also shattering, but they were the strongest here, so they didn't retreat. Including Pai Lupi and Theta Wang. They had always followed Qin Feiyang and enjoyed treatment that others didn't have, but at the same time, the responsibility they shouldered was also heavier than others. Protecting the Black Tortoise world, protecting the living beings here, that was their duty. Even if they died, they couldn't retreat. In the nick of time, Fire Lotus appeared. Big Sister. The 6,000 secret guards, the big black dog, and a group of fierce beasts all seemed to have seen a life-saving straw. All of you, step back. Fire Lotus shouted. The group immediately retreated. Fire Lotus waved her hand, and the origin energy fell from the sky like a waterfall. The crack on the barrier immediately began to repair. Big Sister, when did you control the origin energy? Pai Lupi looked at Fire Lotus in surprise. You still have the mood to care about this now? Fire Lotus was extremely speechless. She took a step forward and landed in the center of the barrier, constantly summoning the origin energy to stabilize the distorted barrier. Big Sister is indeed different. The big black wolf bared his teeth. That's right. Otherwise, how could I get the appreciation of that little wimp? Look at our Black Tortoise world, with so many people, who can get the control of the Black Tortoise world. Only Big Sister. Theta Wang's eyes were full of admiration. She was worthy of being the goddess of the Black Tortoise world. When Fire Lotus heard this, she was angry and wanted to laugh at the same time. However, since the little wimp gave her the control of the Black Tortoise world, that was his trust in her. No matter what, she couldn't let these living beings in front of her be hurt. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.